Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with... Somebody say something, because we're all sat in different positions around the table.
Dan.
No, Dan's the one that's not here.
Damn it. Damn it.
I thought we were going that way around the table still.
I thought we were going.
Roll call. Anybody? Bueller.
Lee.
Sean.
Chris.
Yeah.
And no Dan.
No, Dan.
And Fish.
Podcast.
Hello and Merry Christmas to everyone listening to the podcast.
Yes, ho 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 and all that, if that's your kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to try and do a season review tonight. We were hoping to have...
A seasonal review.
A seasonal season review.
A festive seasonal review.
Your crackers.
Is this one going to be a theme running through all night?
Possibly.
I'm turning your mic off.
I shall project.
We were hoping to have Sean Kelly with us, but he only got back from holiday this afternoon, so he was a little bit busy.
Yes.
I miss his presents.
They're under the tree. God, no. Can we start again?
If you want to.
No, we won't. We'll do the news instead, what little there is.
There's not much news because it's winter, but let's go through it anyway.
We'll go through it anyway. First thing that's come out actually today is Ferrari have announced they're making an announcement.
Yeah,
It's the season of announcing that you're announcing things.
Yeah, but it means Formula 1 is real again. Because next year things are starting to happen. And this is, what was it, February 22nd they've gone for
Yes.
as a launch date.
The launch on the car, it's going to be a virtual launch. They're doing it online, so it's not even Formula 1 is real. Formula 1 is virtual.
So that means it's Formula E?
It's virtually real.
iFormula if it's online.
Hang on, is this the e-gaming series?
iFormula, there's something I could get on board with.
You sat there with your Mac and your iPhone and your iMac on order and...
Life's good.
That's a different company. Anyway, yes, Ferrari have announced that they're making an announcement on February 22nd when
Yes.
they will launch their 2018 car. As Paul has just said, it will be online. And the details, of course, at the moment, as you would expect, are incredibly scarce, although Sergio Marchionne has said it has to be a top contender.
Is anybody else fucked off at the fact that when cars get launched now, it's just virtual renders?
Yeah, you want to see, pull the sheet back.
Yeah,
and,
Yeah, of course. You want to see the drivers
pull the sheet back.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at the car that roughly resembles what they're going to take to
It's
Australia.
nice you should say that because the very next day after the online launch, which could
They
be
gave it away.
I genuinely considered that one for a second, and then I pulled up.
and the
I just ran straight into it. Wham!
Oh,
Yes!
look at that.
absolutely slaying it, isn't he?
Oh, and another. But the car is actually going to go to Barcelona for a, in quotation marks, filming day before the official test begins on the 26th.
Right, do these filming days quite a lot, don't they?
They've got Ferrari World in Barcelona now, haven't they?
They have, but I
crazy
mean,
theme
they'll
park.
also have new sponsors as well, because Santander won't be on board for 2018.
Kaspersky are going to be pulling out because nobody trusts them anymore.
Is that how you pronounce that, is it?
Yes,
Kaspersky,
I
not Kaspersky.
only found out it was Kaspersky and not Kaspersky when I listened to an IT podcast where they were slagging them off.
I thought it was Kasprinsky.
No, that was the old BBC News reporter.
Yes, the one on Strictly
presenter.
Come Dancing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Angela Rippon. She really did pronounce her name differently to how it was spelled.
Philip Schofield.
So yeah, Ferrari are going to launch the car if they haven't pulled out by then.
Well, are they going to pull out of Formula 1? I don't
No.
take that threat credibly.
You're playing with fire then.
Well, apparently so.
God, we could be a double act.
Do you know what, right?
Unfortunately, there are two more people sat around the table.
We could be Cannon and Little.
Well, it could be. Large and Ball.
It's just the way I'm sat. we haven't even been drinking.
No, we are not in the right frame of mind at the
No,
moment.
maybe it's the fact I've moved the room around.
I think that's what it is.
Almost the audio was a little bit fucking squiff as well this week.
This one's coming out like the fucking room.
Yeah, if you want to listen to me being very drunk, go and look for Must See Audio. Whoa.
But yes, Sergio Marchionne has warned people who think he is bluffing about Ferrari pulling out of F1 that they're playing with fire. So he's serious that they're quitting, just like De Montezemolo used to be,
Yeah.
and who was the other one?
Domenicali.
Stefano Domenicali, and probably Enzo Ferrari at various points as well. To be honest, all
course.
Formula One fans have got this to say to Marchioni: put up or shut up.
They're
Or
the-
actually, no, shut up.
They're that suicidal, mate. You've got, haven't they? You know, we always had. Everyone's had one of those friends when they were
Who
when they
can't
were growing
handle
up,
their drink.
and it's like, I'm gonna do it. I'll do it. I'm like, Dave, you've got a banana. And it's, I'll do it. I'll swallow the whole thing.
You've got a banana, and you got a banana, and you're stood on the sofa.
I'm allergic. I'm really allergic.
Where are you going with this?
But yeah, the crying wolf a hell of a lot.
They are, and of course they're going to quit Formula One when they've just plastered the name of one of their other big road cars.
They
all over
literally
again.
couldn't, unless they brought Fiat in as its own brand, they couldn't have any more of a presence in Formula One right now.
No, they've essentially got two teams.
Yeah.
With the Alfa Romeo Sauber deal, Alfa Romeo, of course, being owned by the Fiat Chrysler Automobile Group, of which Sergio Marchioni is president.
And is this the same company that own Maserati that are rumoured to be having their name on the Haas engine for 2018?
Yeah, that's still quite quiet at the moment. There's not been an awful lot of rumbling about this, but I mean that could be a thing as well. It could be Haas Maserati
Oh, Haserati.
or Maserati Haas.
I do wonder whether you might have been half right though.
With
you,
what?
Well, you said ages ago, didn't you, that if Alfa Romeo come back into Formula One, Ferrari might go through with its quit threat,
Yeah.
leave Alfa in, and then come back in at a later date. Because the other thing I thought was, if they can't get Formula One to bow down and do what they want them to do,
They'll leave a finger in that pie, if you will, pardon
Yeah.
the expression, and go and try the other pies.
yeah, and Formula E would like break its own spine trying to suck Ferrari off to get them in the championship.
Yeah, but
I thought you had to break your own spine if it was yourself that.
No, those are ribs.
No, you need ribs
Oh,
removed.
Right, okay.
I
I have been doing
you
it wrong.
both knew that. So yeah, it's. I think it's a possibility.
I'm envious of the fact that Sean's got 2 less ribs than me.
I think it's a possibility that Ferrari.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man that introduced me and Sean to each other.
That would be Lee.
Hi.
Yeah, it's a possibility that Ferrari could pull out of the sport and, as I say, leave a possibility Maserati and Alfa Romeo names just there in Formula One, just in case they do want to hop back in.
Yeah.
They could quite easily pull the plug on those two sponsorship deals if the Haas Maserati thing happens in one form or another, and jump straight back in as Ferrari, almost like a returning sort of saviour to Formula One when they decide it's right for them.
Yeah.
So does that mean that the Ferrari customer teams are going to be left in the same situation that the Renault customer teams were left in 1998? After Renault pulled out and we had the god-awful Supertech Play Life.
No, because
possibly.
you had it was very late notice, wasn't it? That as well, and it didn't really leave anybody any time, or the sport any time, to sort of come up with a credible alternative. So they had to use rebadged old Renault engines. But
Flavio Briatore smelt the money-making opportunity and he was straight in there.
yeah, I mean, I'm of the school of thought. I don't know about everybody else. That if Sergio Marchioni said tomorrow, this is Ferrari's last season in Formula One, 2018. That's it. We're pulling out. We've had enough. It's not going our way. We think we're going to explore other avenues, but we will leave Alfa Romeo and Maserati in Formula One.
I don't think they'd be quite that
No, but I mean, if
controlled about it.
If it happened, we're out. We're gone. See you later. No, at Ferrari, they just go halfway through a season, just not bother turning up to the rest of the races. But I'm of the school of thought that Formula One would probably be okay.
I think Formula 1 will be okay. What I do find interesting, I mean, we might as well talk about this now because I think it might slot in quite well. I don't know if we've even got it written down. But we got written down about the GPDA.
No.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, 100% membership.
Yeah.
For the first time ever.
And apparently that's because the drivers are worried about
The future of the
future
sport.
of the sport. So we've been quite positive about Liberty since it's took over, but with everything feeling, and I'm not one to back Ferrari by any stretch of imagination, but with everything feeling like in such disarray,
It's transitional, isn't it?
But should we be worried about what's going on behind the scenes?
Possibly. I mean, I wouldn't have thought so. I think it's pulling the teams out of their comfort zones. It's pulling the whole sport out of its comfort zone.
But could you end up
it's
where
been in
every element is just pulling in a different direction?
I know what you mean. It's been in its comfort zone bubble for so long, Formula One. Nothing's been able to touch it for years and years and years. And also new owners, and they want to take it out of its comfort zone bubble to make it better. That's what they're trying to do.
The inmates run the asylum at the minute.
Yeah.
And what they have been doing. Can you think of another sport where the team owners have such a big say in the makeup of the sport?
NFL.
That was exactly why I
know
pointed
Yeah,
a
for any major change in NFL, all 32 team owners have to agree.
But you have lots of changes in NFL.
They seem to have lots of votes, don't
They change the rules every season.
Oh, do they?
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not like soccer ball where...
No, there's tweaks to the rules every season. If a team wants to move from one city to another,
the others have to say
all
it's
the other owners have to agree on it. And there's one supreme commissioner. He is... Everything about him is voted for by the team owners. They even vote on how much his wage is going to be.
Right.
And how long his contract lasts for. So it's 32 rich old white men.
A couple of women, actually.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of women.
But it's 32 rich white people
Sexist.
that determine how American football is run at the top level.
which is the way that American football's run. And if Formula One, if Liberty, or sorry, Formula One as they are looking to take that sport in that direction.
Just quickly, because you were talking about NFL, to get off it, how I know this is nothing to do with Formula One. How do you feel about Vince McMahon? Apparently, has just gone and bought all the rights to all the XFL branding again,
and UFL as well, which was another league that somebody else was trying to set up.
Ultimate Football League. That sounds very American.
It was the United Football League, but he'd make it Ultimate. Like I said to you in a message the other day, Vince McMahon will milk an idea dry until it is just a little pile of powder.
I like it. Apparently, he's thinking about selling WWE to Disney, because Disney buy everything.
They do now. Yeah. Disney might buy Formula One yet. We don't know. Mm-hmm. But they
own the American TV rights.
Well, there you go. They do
should
actually.
buy Williams.
With
There's enough
ESPN,
Mickey Mouse drivers going around there.
They do own ESPN, though, don't they? Disney?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
ABC on ESPN, but Disney on ABC.
Okay, so it's one of those parent company things.
You ever seen 30 Rock?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a wig manufacturer at the top of the list that
Yes.
puts Alec Baldwin in charge.
Yes. Okay.
Moving on.
Anyone that's seen 30 Rock will understand that, I promise.
Never.
Right, you're missing out. Moving on, Marchionni has also said there is a possibility to create an alternative championship from 2020 or 2021 when the Concorde Agreement runs out.
Oh, you mean that Formula Ferrari?
Yeah, we are getting a greatest hits tape here.
It's breakaway, innit?
We've not had a breakaway series threat for 10 years.
10 years.
Wasn't when Renault and McLaren were threatening to break away.
Ferrari were oh no, they were in Camp Bernie then, weren't they?
They were in Camp Bernie, yeah.
Yeah, what was it, the Grand Prix World Championship they were going to call it.
Right.
I'm bored of it now. Marchionni is just...
What they're doing is they're covering their own backs, aren't they?
Right, just look at Formula E now, and considering how much more low tech and that is, and considering it's all street circuits
and
as
technically more high tech as well.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean just the infrastructure wise.
Well, no, because according to a couple of people on a certain internet forum, the cars are that high tech they don't even need any form of lubricants.
Right, but that's grand. But realistically, when you think about it, the fucking garages are literally fucking gazebos.
Yeah.
You know, and how difficult it's been for Formula E to get off the ground and get a championship running as it has done.
Yeah.
Could you imagine I am going to set up a rival to Formula One from scratch?
like Formula 3.5 V8 or whatever it's called
Yeah.
these days.
It would be. I mean, look at A1 came along. Fuck me.
Just shook my head at the microphone.
Yeah.
Expected everyone to hear that on the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah. It would just be such a massive undertaking. And Ferrari can't even manage their team right. So what makes them think they can manage a fucking sport?
Because if they're in control, everybody has to do what they say.
That's true.
And the FIA will be Ferrari's international assistants.
More so than they currently are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see Kim Jong-Todd's true colours.
They're like the fucking Fritzl of Formula One teams, aren't they? They just want to keep all the other teams in a basement.
Yeah.
That's why they're sponsoring Sauber.
Yeah, it's a strenuous. I mean, imagine what happens when you're a kid. Okay, you're a kid. It's winter. It's cold.
I'm there, right? Cold.
It's morning time.
Do you have a jacket?
No,
Hat.
you're in bed.
Oh fuck.
You're in bed. And
Pajamas?
Yeah, you got pajamas on. It's kind of cold,
Yeah,
but you're warm in your bed.
yeah.
And then your mum or your dad comes up to the bedroom. Come on, time to get up. No, you don't want to get up.
It's difficult to get over the rocket ship side of the bed. It's hard.
And then they pull the duvet off you.
Oh, that's just a cunt's trick.
Yeah, that's what all the teams are feeling at the moment with the new.
They're all
owners
having
of
the
Formula
blankets
1.
stripped off them on the rocket
Yeah,
beds.
they're all having their blankets ripped off them on the rocket beds, and
They're all saying they don't want to go to Auntie Gladys's today because she's old and smells of humbugs.
yeah, and they're whinging children at the moment because they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
As soon as they realise, it'll all settle down a bit, but that might take a couple of years,
Do you mean they need to be told they're getting taken for ice cream before they go?
probably.
Right. Okay.
So, Chase Carey, if you're listening, take everyone out for an ice cream and get this sorted.
Kimmy will be there.
If Chase Carey's listening to this, we're so sorry your doorbell just rang. That is Mr. Raikkonen.
Williams next. I'm getting to the top two things in a minute. I just thought this feeds nicely into it.
Williams have no news.
Yeah, but they announced that they were going to have no news. They were making an announcement after the Bahrain test. Then it was going to be at some point in December, and now it's going to be next year. They do not know what is going on.
Well,
Or they do know what's going on, but they don't want to tell everyone. Or they don't know what's going on. They're just keeping the name out there.
yeah, this came quite quickly after last week's podcast, where we were talking about Sirotkin being the leading contender now. We don't know if he is. Nobody knows if he is.
No.
To be completely honest, all we know is that Williams has said, we'll give you a decision in 2018. Now, when I posted this on our Facebook page, the link from an outside source, I think I said that the chances of going into pre-season testing without a clue who's going to be sitting in that second seat, Williams, yeah, they're. I think you'd think the betting odds are quite slim on that now.
We could actually see Williams do pre-season testing with a driver lineup that isn't the driver lineup that we'll see 3 weeks later in Australia.
I don't think that'll happen.
God knows. The way that they seem to be completely rudderless in this decision at the moment.
I don't think they are. It's not. They're not doing this because they can't make a decision. They're doing it because the options clearly aren't right. They are literally picking the best of the bad situation.
It's that they don't have someone who's got the performance and the money and
Yeah.
will keep the Strolls happy. There isn't someone who ticks all of those.
And that last thing is
aspects.
very important because a few of
Strolls.
our listeners were
Yeah.
commented on that particular Facebook post.
Well, let's
saying,
face it. We know what type of person that Stroll's family want because they offered to pay $30 million to get Alonso.
Yeah, because they don't mind being if Lance gets beaten by Alonso
No.
because he's supposed to get beat by Alonso. Thing is, if Sirotkin comes in and gives X millions and is better than Stroll,
Will be better.
all of a sudden that really weakens Stroll's position in the team.
Mm-hmm. But I see, I don't think it does because I think Stroll's position in the team isn't strong because of his driving. It's all financial.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it does.
But if somebody comes in with financial backing, a lot of financial backing, like Sirotkin, has apparently got an awful lot of millions
Yeah, but
behind him.
I don't think it's not the same money that Stroll's got, though, is it? I mean,
I
you're
don't
talking.
think it's far off.
Don't forget as well, didn't Stroll's dad buy shares in the team?
Probably.
I'm sure we said it when he signed, didn't he, that he bought shares in the team?
Yeah, I think he does. He does have shares there, and that's what the continued investment's for, rather than paying for a seat. But I think the Stroll deal is now down to 20 million a season.
Yeah.
Sorokin is rumoured to be coming in with something like 15.
Saying that Williams are a publicly traded company, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So would
Anyone could buy.
So would it? It would be those shares, wouldn't it? Which I take it they wouldn't be there'd be no like control with them, would there?
Not unless
you
it
can
had
buy
a lot of shares.
Yeah, you can buy a certain
Yeah.
amount of shares, but there will be a limit as to how many you can buy.
Yeah.
Once you hit a certain limit, you've got to put a takeover bid in.
Yeah.
Yeah, or join the board of directors.
Yeah. Which I don't think Lawrence Stroll's quite at that stage yet. But no, Sorokin could become, if he does come in, he could be coming in with 15 million worth of sponsorship.
So do we all think Sorokin's like the front runner at the minute?
No, it's just the thing. That's the name being banded about at the moment.
I do. I think he's.
I think
by the
Sorokin is
feel
who
of it.
Williams want.
Yeah.
I don't know what the sticking point would be with the Stroll situation, but I think Sorokin would be.
I think they're negotiating how much lead Sorokin has to have in the back of his car just to slow him down.
Possibly.
The Strolls want 2 seconds a lap. He won't go further than 1 second. So they're trying to get a compromise.
But if he's 1.6 seconds faster than Kubica, who was near doing comparable times to Stroll, even with 1 second behind, he'll still be faster than Stroll.
Yeah, so that's why the Strolls want at least 2. So
Yeah.
Stroll's 0.4 faster.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yay, maths!
Hey, why not?
I think that there's genuine infighting in the Williams team, and the top brass all have very strong and very different opinions.
I think they've got this terrible fucking thing where they've got no one to put in the car that's going to score the points.
And somebody in that team is going to have to turn around and say, look, we need to ask Felipe to come back again.
Yes, this is what I think will end up happening.
This is the smedliest situation that they have ever put themselves in.
Yeah.
I was gonna suggest the 3 Legs Power Wheels Awards, but Williams have already won the Smedley Award for 2018, and it's only the 18th of December 2017.
And let's face it, they've got a hand on 19 as well at the way they're going.
But is it a strong, complete hand, or is it a little bit damaged? I got that one in before you did.
No, I wasn't going to say it because it wasn't a joke.
Oh, it makes a fucking shake. Next. Moment's silence for the Canadian E-Prix being cancelled.
Just goes to show it's not that chair that's funny. Carry on.
But this is the moment
that
silence.
look doesn't transfer well.
This is the moment silence we were having for the Canadian E-Prix.
Yes.
It's kind of bollocks the season up because that was due to be the season finale.
Was that the season finale for Formula E?
Yes.
To be fair, it hasn't bollocked the season up at all then. It's just made it one race shorter.
Which some would argue is better.
Dan would argue otherwise.
Well, he's not here, is he?
No, he's not. The
No, Dan said he's not well, but if you do see any major political upheavals over the next sort of 7 to 10 days, just leaving it out there.
Apologise to the Patreons, which have already heard that joke.
Yeah.
I always repeat. We always repeat one Patreon joke on the main show,
Don't. Oh, well, I suppose so.
and then I always have to explain that we do that because you always point out that I've just done the Patreon joke.
I can't remember that.
Exactly.
So it was going to be at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which of course is used by Formula One.
It was going to be somewhere in Montreal because it's a little bit more complicated than that. Because it's the mayor of Montreal that's cancelled the race, and as part of her manifesto to get elected about 6 weeks ago, she said
She wasn't going to have any shit motorsport in Canada.
they have NASCAR races up there. Yeah. No, she said that Formula E wasn't going to be in downtown Montreal. It was either going to be at the Gilles Villeneuve circuit or not in Montreal at all.
Clearly, she's unaware of the range of these cars.
Might be able to do 2 laps before they need to pull into the tent.
Yeah.
But no, it's now been cancelled because the non-profit organisation that was behind the race, the snazzily titled Montreal, It's Electric.
Okay.
It's got a family full of eccentrics.
Yeah, they have NASCAR races up there. Yeah, they have kind of gone bust. They've
asked Montreal to put in some money.
$35 million.
Canadian dollars?
Yes.
That's a lot of money in
For
any money.
For a Formula E race, it could be 35 million Canadian bacon. I still don't think it's worth it.
So, the city doesn't want the race.
So the city has said no race, thanks very much.
Yeah, bugger off.
But this is also something that Sean picked up on and wrote an article for on our website.
Yes, Canada is getting lots of renovations at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. For
Yeah, new paddock.
Not for next year, because we're still on 2017. For after the 2018 race, they're going to start the work, and it's going to be ready for the 2019 race. But that is why they can't have Formula E there, because it's going to be a building site.
Ah, okay.
But
So they're
every
making
other
track.
Formula E track looks like a building site anyway. Don't forget they had to find a new home for the German race because they couldn't use
The airport.
the former Tempelhof airport because that was being used as a homeless shelter.
It was probably something really, really important, like they couldn't find somewhere to put the DJ mouse.
No, they were using it as a homeless shelter, so they told Formula E to piss
I
off.
didn't really think they couldn't find a house for the DJ mouse.
It's not a mouse.
It was a mouse.
No, you're thinking a dead mouse. It kind of looked like the Stig from off of old Top Gear.
I thought the first race had a mouse doing
No,
it.
it was the EJ,
Oh,
which
was
is
it
why
the
you
EJ?
hated him because you thought it was
Well, that makes sense.
you thought it was EJ actually on the wheels of steel.
Sorry,
Could you imagine?
I fucking rub magnets against my head trying to erase any memory of fucking Formula E whenever I see it.
And Eddie Jordan.
Yeah, it must be clean.
So yeah, Formula E is just a mess.
Well,
Yeah.
And we complain about Formula One.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Talking about complaining of Formula One.
It's more of complaining about what happens before a race. The great grid girl debate.
Which has sparked fury and fire and
Brimstone?
Retribution.
retribution's a good word. Not sure it's entirely apt, but we'll go with it.
Oh,
Paul is destroying the world.
I am just breaking things. That is the world's heaviest e-cigarette.
Listeners, I am so sorry for.
that sounded great through headphones.
I can see.
Oh my god, it looks like a fucking tremor.
Yeah, we just turn around and look at the audio file. That looks, that's bad.
Right now, some listeners that isn't listening to our headphones just had that glass of water moment that was in Jurassic Park.
I think people who had it on the headphones probably had the same thing.
I'll just put some Jacques Villeneuve over it. That's
Fine.
That's even more horrific.
Lies.
So there is a great deal of fuss going on over should grid girls be a thing or not.
Yeah, there's a whole sort of school of thought that number one, it's so outdated to have pretty girls standing with the driver's name and their national flag, to sort of position the cars on the grid. They're usually paid for by sponsors, aren't they? In modern day Formula One,
Yeah.
the sponsors of the race tend to get.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at
casting agencies or model agencies, and then they get, let's be honest, quite pretty looking girls in to stand and
yeah, you look at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and all the grid girls there are dressed as Etihad flight attendants.
yeah, because Etihad
Sponsor the race.
Yeah,
Austria, they're all in some kind of extreme version of Austrian traditional costume, and they call them the Red Bull Fraulein's or something.
yeah, something like that. I think did Austria use grid children last year or the year before?
Would have been about 3 years ago because Red Bull had been making a big deal of
Youth program,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I believe as well that did not go down well. The grid children, from what I recall,
No.
no one was keen.
No, it was possibly less well received than the grid girls.
I think the thing with the grid girls is
The Grid
at some
Boys
point,
wasn't
they've
particularly well
chosen-
received either, was
Well,
it?
no.
Well, no,
So-
but the problem with that was the drivers, namely Sebastian Vettel saying
Vettel
yeah.
wasn't happy.
No, he wasn't.
Wasn't happy with his grid Gary, I think he called it.
But it's a debate as to whether or not it should always be women. Should it be men? Should it be local heroes of the community or charities or something like that, sort of raise awareness for more localized things to do with with wherever the race is being held. And I can kind of see the point in that, but
I think it should be whoever fucking wants to do it.
Well, the thing is every race has a promoter, and a promoter has a sponsor for the race, and it's the promoter's job to provide, the grid girls, or grid Garys if it's Monaco from a couple of years ago.
Top and bottom of it is all the grid girls will be professional models of
well,
those countries.
They're people who
they're working. So by you getting upset or people getting upset about these things, they're essentially taking jobs off people.
Can I quote Nico Hulkenberg?
Go on.
It would be a pity if they took the eye candy off the grid.
Yeah.
Now you see that's going a little bit too far the other way.
But why? So is it wrong now in this fucking
No,
sterile
it's not
world
wrong.
we live in?
But that's the objectification thing, isn't it? Which people are objectifying to.
It just seems like nowadays no one can say anything about anything.
No, I know what you mean, but it's at the end of the day, whether it's men or women, they're always going to be good-looking people who are paid by the sponsors to stand there and look good.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe disproportionately it is women over men, but there are, as you said before we start recording, Lee, that the case with that, all over the world. There's more men than women in certain things.
I'd also argue that there's
things.
more successful female models
than male models.
Yeah, name me a professional male catwalk model.
I think David Gandy is the only one.
Did he have a circus?
He's got pants for Marks and Spencer's.
Right.
Hang on, professional male catwalk model.
Oh.
Jane,
Paul is the fashion expert.
Jane's nephew.
Jane's nephew.
Yes.
Yeah,
our mate's nephew is a professional catwalk model. Can't remember his name.
Nice.
Nick. Is he called Nick? He got spotted at Leeds Festival or something, and now he works with Versace or something like that.
Obviously, being spotted at a festival, it must have been the first day because they could see his face and he just wasn't a pile of mud.
Yeah. I mean, because I've often found grid girls strange, because it's a weird thing to do, but I don't. If people want to do it, I don't see the problem.
Yeah, I don't. As the female voice, I don't see a particular drama with it. No one's forcing them to be there. Someone's paying them to be there.
Probably quite fucking handsomely.
I believe so. I think there is a girl locally who I think is a grid girl in World Superbike, and she gets paid to travel all over the place and
just stand there and smile.
Yeah, for a couple of hours every couple of weeks, you have to stand there and hold something.
I'd do that.
There's probably worse jobs.
Exactly. So people get paid for it. The whole inequality thing, I kind of get the point, the original point where that argument's coming from, but it's always going. It's not always going to be that way that it's always girls.
Yeah.
But it's always going to be that way that it's always going to be good-looking people.
If we had a female driver, she could have a grid guy.
Exactly.
Then it's fine. Or a gay driver.
Yeah, like
they want a bloke, fair enough.
Yeah, were you saying Jenny Timoth in
British Superbikes has
a grid man,
a male model? Yeah,
grid guy.
Yes.
If Formula One want to change that and put charity, local charities as people standing there with the grid signs, it's not going to change the sport.
No.
And I think it's a lot's been made of it when it didn't really need to be made of it.
But hence, that is the internet now, isn't it?
It's the world, I think, as we know it. I know why the debate's been so intense. I just don't think it needed to be that intense. There were a couple of points to put across on either side.
Mm-hmm.
And you get there, as I said before, with reason and logic.
Which, once you go on the internet, flies out of the window.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh, sorry, to be balanced, the Mac as well. That's twice tonight. It is the chair. Right. Other fighting talk. Well, kind of. Fighting. Felipe Massa put this on the Facebook page yesterday. He is now president of karting for the FIA.
Yeah, that was his new job that he got given, 3 weeks ago?
No, last week.
Last week?
Yep, first week in the job. There was a big 12-hour karting challenge this weekend.
Featuring lots of drivers.
Running teams.
Yeah.
Felipe Massa was one of them.
I was really upset. I thought it was him.
And his team got kicked out because one of his drivers started fighting with somebody else.
He didn't stop fighting. He had him pinned down
Yeah,
on the
pinned into
floor.
the floor and
He was battering
There was
him.
a- did you see the video from the beginning? There was a quality suplex in there.
Oh, was there? No, I didn't. No,
it was
no.
it was a full belly to belly suplex twist and
Get in there.
full shoulder slam, and then holding him down by his throat and hitting him while he was still wearing a helmet.
There's a lot of that, isn't there, in motor racing fights?
Punching people whilst
Yeah.
wearing helmets.
Yeah,
The thing is,
silly.
is anybody here? I used to ride a motorcycle every day, and if somebody just even pats you on the head when you're wearing a helmet,
Yeah.
it's so confusing and you disorientate. It's like whoa, like that was really loud. And my head moved a lot more than I thought it was going to. So someone punches you whilst you're wearing a helmet. It might not hurt, but it's going to confuse the hell
Yeah,
out
but
of you.
it's going to break their hand.
It
So
might.
advice to any aspiring racing driver fighters: go for the kidney. It's shit. Like, you get punched in the kidney, it's worse than being punched in the face.
Or the groin.
Much worse. No, like, kidney's well worse. If you get punched in the kidney, your whole body stiffens up. You feel sick. You can't breathe properly. It's well worse than getting kicked.
Like
in the
getting
cock.
kicked in the balls.
No, it's worse than getting kicked in the
I don't
balls.
think-
Well worse.
Never having been punched in the kidney, I can't draw a direct comparison.
Well, there's always a first time, Paul. I think in the
Interest of science.
Can I just point out, we are not Top Gear, we are not the Grand Tour. we don't inflict pain on each other. So,
I will put myself forward as not being punched or kicked because we need a control subject.
So, how's Felipe Massa's time in charge of karting going then?
Well, not great. He had to apologise for it, didn't he? And was he actually winning the race at the time? It was team winning
His
the race.
His
at the
team were
time.
winning the race. As it turned out, Rubens Barrichello's team won.
So one Brazilian let another Brazilian win.
Yeah.
So when the number two Brazilians are leading, line astern in a race, and
Barrichello's team was third, I think. Both the
It was
teams.
the two leaders, weren't they? Took each other out and then had a fight, and then both got disqualified.
right, so somehow Barrichello won by default.
Yes.
That's not right. Something's wrong with racing when Barrichello wins by default because Massa got disqualified.
Which
year was it? The US Grand Prix where Schumacher tried to
I was just
do
gonna
the
say,
formation
all I
finish, and
know
Barrichello
is-
won by default there.
All I know is that there was no Schumacher on the grid.
That's what they want you to
There was
think.
no Schumacher and no Alonso.
And also there was Rubens Barrichello's son was on Rubens Barrichello's team, so it's nice to see Barrichello Jr. making his way up through the racing formula.
Yeah, it'll be doing 8 rounders next, and then maybe a shot at a world title.
Yes,
That one fell flat.
it did.
Really did. Shall we do the season review?
Why not? Ed?
Why not?
Tis the season and all that. Well, was the season.
'Twas the season of 2017. I should have thought that through.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I never think anything through. I'm only working on notes.
That's why you
here.
bought a hot tub.
I was drunk. We were drunk.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was the night before the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, I think.
and
Because
all
I
through
remember
the
during
house.
that was very hungover.
Right. In true 3 legs 4 wheels form, we'll do a review by starting from the back. Sauber. 3 drivers. 2 points finishes.
2 points finishes, yeah, or both for Pascal Wehrlein.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Azerbaijan being one of them,
And Barcelona, I think, was the other.
quite possibly. I can't actually recall the
I
other
think he
Sauber
finished
points
8th
finish.
ahead of Kvyat. Rings a bell.
Yeah,
Yes, he did.
8th in Barcelona and that
Somewhere
10th.
else.
10th or 9th, wherever it was.
10th in Baku.
Yeah, 10th in Baku.
5 points altogether. Nothing for Marcus Ericsson.
As we already know, we've discussed that at length. And Pascal, actually, if you consider the fact he did fewer races rather than Marcus Ericsson this year, because Antonio Giovinazzi was actually in the car for the first 2 races
Yeah, looked quite promising in Australia,
and looked very wall
Less so.
crashy in
and
China.
then crashing in China.
Although, to be fair, if you don't crash, you're not pushing, are you? Let's be honest.
But he crashed twice.
He crashed twice in the same place.
Yeah, but don't trust a driver who never crashes.
Yeah, but also don't trust a driver who crashes twice in the same place on consecutive days.
Probably not. No, it's a good point.
Yeah.
He impressed in the short time that he was in the car, Antonio Giovinazzi, for the first 2 races.
Yep, he impressed
But
enough
for that crash.
not to get the job for.
So, yeah, I was going to say, what we're saying about the Saubers is the least impressive one has a full-time drive with them next year. The second most impressive one is their reserve driver, and their best one is out altogether.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
a really
Yes,
good way of saying it.
Maybe it's going to be like, what's his name? Vandergaard, Sauber, where next year Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin will both turn up thinking they're going to be on the side of the car.
Yes. Maybe, yeah, they're both turn up with the decals.
Yeah.
What are you doing? This is our car. No, but
We can't be the Alfa Austin Sauber.
the Sauber is it was a shit show this year, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
It was a shit show disguised as a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
It's been coming though, hasn't it? You know, we've seen it for the last couple of years.
Well, yeah.
They've been gradually getting worse. And
From the beginning of the season, the pre-season, when we thought that Manor still might make it, we thought that Sauber were going to fall back into the clutches of Manor.
Yeah.
And then Manor didn't even make it, and Sauber basically replaced Manor as the car that was more than 1 second a lap off the pace.
It's a shame for Manor, really, because if they'd have managed to get themselves on the grid, with the improvements they'd been making, they might have found themselves in front of Sauber and therefore getting money by default.
Yeah, quite possibly. Depending on who their driver lineup was going to be.
Well, I think they'd have probably had Verline.
It probably would have done. Yeah, it's still at Manor here.
And those 5 points could have been Manor's.
Yeah, but the other driver might have been good.
I mean, the whole Sauber year, they've had 2 team principals this year, of course, because don't forget at the start of the season, Manisha Kaltenbaum was in charge.
It's always a good sign, isn't it, for a team?
No, changing team principals mid-season. And, there was rumours that she'd fallen out with the financial backers, Ericsson's mob. They were starting to come through from round about Australia, really. And then by Azerbaijan, she was out, and a couple of weeks later, Fred Vasseur.
Yeah, what's it something to do with conservative decision making? They didn't believe she was aggressive enough with her decision making, too conservative all the time.
I'd say, I mean, don't forget she steered
them through a very difficult time.
Yeah, but she's essentially been at the helm, which has led to the shit show we saw this year. That shouldn't be forgotten.
No,
I think the problem was with her being in charge is that she didn't come from a commercial background. She was a lawyer.
Yeah.
Well, she still is a lawyer.
yeah,
And
Did come in handy at times.
yeah,
especially when 4 drivers turned up for two seats.
To a lawyer, turns out she knows fucking nothing about contracts.
might have been that contract law wasn't her speciality.
Right.
How different Sauber might have been if they put Guido van der Garde and Adrian Sutil in that car.
Maybe. 2 better drivers.
May well have been, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be nice to Guido van der Garde. Now, I suppose he's funny on Twitter. We'll
Okay.
No, but he was a decent Formula 1 driver.
it was a good driver.
He lost out because of his height. Because isn't he about 9 foot tall?
He is tall, I think, yeah.
He lost out because he sent his check in third.
Yeah, no, but
It still got cashed, but he sent it in third.
I mean, him even getting back into Formula 1, I think that was, because he did his Caterham run first, didn't he?
Yeah, he was a Caterham
Yeah,
driver. And the only driver to have ever left the Caterham team and gone anywhere in Formula 1 is Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah, I was just about to say Heikki Kovalainen then, but then I thought, no, quite the opposite way.
Yeah. Jarno Trulli, Charles Pic.
Did Kovalainen had a couple of races for Lotus, didn't he? When did Raikkonen injure his back? or
Oh yeah,
something and
Kovalainen
missed
came
the
back
arse
for
end
2
of the
races.
season?
Yeah,
Oh
that's a
yeah,
good point.
Well remembered.
Yeah.
the official explanation was Raikkonen injured his back. According to Kimi, they haven't paid me. I'm getting that operation done now.
Somebody
Yeah,
said...
that's when he left the Abu Dhabi race before it had finished.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think when they got Kovalainen in, like there was people having genuine conversations at the back of the garage going, saying, "Do we even say anything? do we just leave the name as it is on the car, give him Kimi's helmet, and leave it at that?"
Because that went really well for McLaren. But Manisha Kaltenborn, I think she was out of her depth running a team because sort of the commercial side of things, which is what a team principal needs, as well as plate juggling. She managed as best she could.
And don't forget, she was probably being micromanaged by Peter Salber as well.
Up to a point, yeah. And then when the new owners came in, they were probably putting different micromanagement pressure on her. And she walked. Fred Vasseur's in charge. He's
former Renault team principal.
Yeah, I think he's going to be more adept at doing it because he will be able to deal with
conflict.
The money men that run the team. So, make the car in the shape of a giant haddock because I like haddocks.
He's a real weird looking motherfucker, though, isn't he?
Fred Vasseur.
Yeah. He always reminds me of, like, when you see aliens in Men in Black before they've opened up.
And the skin doesn't quite fit right.
Oh God, yeah, he's got a really small head and no chin.
Yeah. That's because there's a tiny little alien running his head.
Yeah, but he's got a very sloping forehead as well. Anyway, that's how Fred Vasseur looks.
It looks like somebody's got a photo of Ron Dennis and scrumpled it.
Like the Ross Kemp folded Facebook page.
Amazing, that.
Are we sure it's not Ron Dennis?
Actually, there's one of the photos here. It could very easily be.
Absolutely.
I have no doubt that Ron Dennis has worn other people's skin. I do not believe Fred Vasseur is one of the victims.
Welcome to the McLaren Technology Centre, where today we'll be learning how to flay people. So yeah,
hi Ron, is that Max Mosley's face you have on today?
I just shook Ron Dennis's hand, but he had somebody else's hand over the top of it. Anyway,
came away with a thumb.
Anyway, as people talk about the season review, brighter times ahead, hopefully for Sauber, with the Alfa Romeo backing and
you
the
think so.
and the
got to be
the
some
money
cash
that comes
stuck in.
That's it, yeah.
Getting out of the Honda issue as well was
because
probably
that was
a good
looking
idea
like a
for
thing
them.
for a while, wasn't it? That they were going to be the Honda powered team.
Yeah,
and then that fell apart.
They dodged a bullet by moving slowly out of the way.
Is it Sauber that I think of that I've got like a ridiculously good wind tunnel? Is it Sauber?
I'm not sure, possibly.
No.
Because I can't. I know one of the teams that you don't think of has like fucking shit hot facilities, but I can't remember if it's Sauber or not. But if it's not, then hopefully being able to use some of Ferrari's facilities will help them. Maybe somebody might drop a USB stick in there.
Exactly, yeah. It's not supposed to happen, but we're sure it probably will.
Yeah.
And vice versa. All these things that Sauber tested and decided it didn't work. Well, something that looked very similar to that is now on a Ferrari car.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm sure it'll work both ways, and
I'm
Sauber will reap the benefits of that in 2018.
Just looking at a YouTube video of Sauber's wind tunnel, and yes, it is incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
We'll just have to stick that up on the Facebook page.
I'll put a link to that. They've even got like drones flying around the building and showing you the full workings of it and everything. I'll share that later.
Well, there's where the budget went.
Yeah, spend some money on the car next time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Why are we rubbish at racing? Look at all these drones flying around.
Oh, pretty. That one's spelling cow.
Anyone seen the Drone Racing League? It is a thing.
Yeah,
It's
They move
horrific.
ridiculously quick.
Yeah.
So fast you can't even keep your eye on them.
Anyway, McLaren. Not used that for a while. Talking of bad and hopefully will get better. I'm sorry, but this season sucked big style.
It started off disastrous and got less
A little
shit.
bit,
Yeah.
Not less shit. That's a really good way of putting it.
I think the only Honda was shit this year, and McLaren weren't, and I think that's the pluses that they can take away
I
from
think it was this year was the final sort of definite divide, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That you could tell that it wasn't McLaren as well.
Yeah.
This year you could tell. It was a bit blurred the first couple of years, the McLaren Honda thing.
But all of a sudden, when you got to a circuit where it was more car reliant than engine reliant, you thought, "Oh fucking hell, McLaren's are in the points."
Yeah.
What would it be like if they didn't have a car that was fucking 80 mile an hour slower?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, slightly messy divorce with Honda. I think that's fair to say.
I think it could have been messier.
Yeah, but Honda are obviously shipping off to go to Toro Rosso next year.
It didn't go full Red Bull Renault.
No, not quite. No, that's a good point as well, because we saw that as a bit of a divorce, non-divorce.
Yeah.
I'm changing my name, but you can still love me, sort of thing.
I mean, for it to take 8 races into the season for the first points for McLaren.
That's crazy.
It is, and Eric Boulier said in recent weeks that he really feared that the top people on the team who are used to winning would look at opportunities elsewhere on the grid because they don't want to be stuck at the back, and the only way to do that was to convince them that the McLaren were doing their best, and it was the engine. Or rather, the power unit that was the problem, and the management at McLaren were working to fix that. And then hopefully they have, because they will have the Renault engine in next year.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a slightly odd fit, isn't it? McLaren Renault. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't quite sound right. It's not very McLaren thing to do.
It's not very McLaren, no. But the it's not a very Ron thing. I think that might be there. It's not very Ron McLaren.
Ron's McLaren wouldn't have gone
anymore.
Renault though, would they? Ron's McLaren may have binned off Honda and probably gone with someone like Peugeot.
I mean, Zach Brown has said he thinks that Ron would have binned Honda off.
Yeah, I think you probably would have had enough by now as well.
I think Ron would have had Honda shot. Notice, though, that Honda have rejigged the Formula 1 team again.
He'd be walking around wearing Mr. Hasegawa's skin.
Wow.
Well, Mr. Hasegawa
he's
is
gone.
no longer in charge.
Maybe that's why.
Because he's got no skin anymore.
Ron sat there now looking at like just a muscle, like a muscle frame of somebody sat eating soup wearing his skin.
Maybe it's the skin in the soup.
Could be.
So,
just on the top.
Yeah.
Just an eye floating around in it.
It's like that bit out of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and start tucking into monkeys' brains. And then
I was just going to
ball with
say,
the eyes.
I was thinking Hannibal then as well.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's lovely in real life.
So, yeah, Honda they're now going to be on their second team since the return to F1 and their third head of Formula 1 development.
Yeah.
That about says it all for the way that this has been, because when Hasegawa came in to replace Mr. Arai, things are going to be done differently, we're moving up, things are getting better. This Spec 4 engine, that'll be the one. The Spec 4 engine that never came out.
Well, it did, and then they
It
did
did
quickly
one
change.
session,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Yeah.
Never to be
And
seen again.
now there's somebody new in charge, and Red Bull have got to deal with them.
Yeah. Or rather, French Toast has to do
I was going to say, it's your first day in the job. Let's meet some of your big customers. Franz Tost and Helmut Marko. You're on your own.
Yeah.
Close the blast doors!
Ninth place in the Constructors' Championship for McLaren, one above Sauber, and 30 points. 30 for the whole season. That's just over a race win. You get 25 for a race win.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? For McLaren to only get that many points when
You would expect McLaren to be on that many points by the second race of the season.
usually,
Yeah.
When you consider it's not only just McLaren, it's McLaren with arguably one of the best drivers in the history of the sport.
Yes, absolutely.
No, we only did Monaco.
Hey!
He is the only McLaren driver not to score points this season, though.
True.
He did get points on his licence.
Yeah.
For his one
Yeah.
appearance.
Yeah, but it's okay because he's retired. So if he ever
He's
does,
off to Japan.
yes,
Is he going to get a grid penalty in his first Super GT race and carried it?
I don't think
forward?
they cross series. I think they're specific F1 points.
Although he will be driving a Honda next season.
You will.
he will be. Yeah, he's split. He's gone the Honda way of the McLaren Honda split.
Yes.
And clearly Stoffel and Fernando will be much looking forward to using Renault engines next year.
Which have been dead reliable and everything. So, Haas.
Yeah. So just before we move on, it's worth pointing out Van Dorn's got 13 points over the course of the season. Alonso got 17. So Alonso only outscored Van Dorn by 4 points. But
I think he had a lot of mechanical issues or a lot of engine issues.
yeah, how many times did Alonso not finish? That's what I was about to say.
But I think the bad thing is Alonso's car seemed to fail when the opportunities to score points were there.
Yeah.
I think he dropped off. He was at fifth at one point, wasn't he, in a race, like looking to finish, and then the car went before the end of the race.
Yeah,
I'm
6.
sure
I remember
that-
him running
was
6
it-
at
yeah.
a race at some point.
It was 8 times non-classified, and twice where he
start.
didn't finish.
Have you got what
but was
races they were?
classified.
Canada, remember, it was when he went and sat up in the stands.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alonso's DNFs and a DNS.
Yeah, DNS was in Russia.
Yeah, there was the
Yeah,
formation, wasn't there?
Australia, China, Bahrain pulled out before the end but had completed enough to be classified. Russia didn't start. Canada missed the last 3 laps and watched them from the crowd but was classified 16th. Austria, Britain, Belgium all retired. Italy pulled out before the end but was classified in 17th but didn't complete the race distance. And Singapore and USA.
So, yeah, pretty much the season.
Yeah, but like the
And then at the end of the
Austria would
season,
have been a good McLaren track.
three-
Singapore would have
Singapore,
been.
he started well, didn't he? And
Yeah.
he got in the way of the Ferrari Verstappen.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why. he
And
was
then at the end
up
of the
to
year, 3
third.
consecutive points finishes.
Yeah.
So
He'd
when
have been,
it works,
he'd have been
it
on the
works.
podium, I think. You know, if he'd have got through all that fucking palaver.
Singapore. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Azerbaijan.
And he'd have probably won me about fucking £2,000.
Stoffel was the first of the drivers to score points for him this season. He had slightly better mechanical luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, you know, it's very poor when you consider a team like McLaren and, you know, at the risk of repeating ourselves, that far down.
Big year for Stoffel coming up.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he needs to be on the pace of Alonso this year.
Well, McLaren essentially needs to be fighting with Red Bull.
No, but right, just as a personal thing,
Yeah.
if he isn't hassling Alonso...
Well, no, I don't think he even needs to do that. I mean, Alonso might be hassling Ricciardo, for example. But, I mean, if there are races where Van Dorn can't hassle Ricciardo...
Yeah, but if he's like a second behind Alonso, like we've seen quite often in qualifying,
Yeah.
like he can't be that now.
No. It's time to step it up a bit.
Yeah.
Time to put the big boy pants on. Haas next. Great improvement from their debut season, I would say. They don't seem to think so, but
I don't think so.
they scored more points, they got more finishes. They had a team where both drivers could score points rather than relying on one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Grosjean took the lion's share of the points again, but I mean, at least Magnussen scored points, not
Yeah.
like Gutierrez, who was constantly.
But there was let's
Outside
not
of the
forget
points.
that their drivers, at least one of them every race, seemed to be in some sort of bother with some sort of accident.
And failures as well. They had
Yeah.
quite a lot of failures, the Haas team.
No, but there did seem to be a thing where if you saw a crash happen,
There was
9
a
times
Haas.
out of 10 there was a Haas involved in it.
Yeah, they were still having brake issues, weren't they, earlier on in the season as well?
Grosjean in particular, I think,
Yeah.
with the brakes.
And then he just spent the rest of the season whinging his way around.
I kind of expected more from Haas this year.
I mean, they had a good first season. They've had an unspectacular second season.
Don't forget, they had less Ferrari bits on the car this year than they did last year.
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
got better results
I know
this
that.
year than they did last year.
Yeah. The
Last year
traject-
they started very quickly as well, and then seemed to tail off towards the end of the year. Whereas this year, I think they were more consistent. There was the two races at the start of last year. I think when Grosjean
Score
got
points,
2
yeah.
sixths or something like
Yeah.
that, and this year it's been more.
But let's face it, they were only better than the shit show of Sauber and McLaren, who were fucking hampered by a Honda engine. You
Yeah,
know,
but I mean, they were scoring points. You know, fair enough, they only scored like 17 more points than McLaren, but
Yeah.
it was more consistent 9th, 10th places,
Mm.
which is what Haas needed to be picking up to really to put
They may have
themselves
only
in
scored
contention.
17 more points than McLaren, but they only scored 6 less than Toro Rosso.
Exactly, yeah,
It
that's
was
Toro
very
Rosso
close
were pretty
in the middle.
poor as well this year.
and 10 less than the Renault team as well.
Yeah, see that's different because Renault. I mean, we're going to get there anyway, aren't we? But the problem I have with Haas is they don't feel like a racing team to me. They don't feel like they're doing anything.
Be careful, as we've got a lot of listeners who love Haas.
No, but like even just the idea of keeping Magnussen and Grosjean in the team, like
Well, it's consistency, and they're happy with that lineup.
I don't know. It just feels like that they need.
I think the main issue they've got is they were bigging up Santino Ferrucci as he's going to be the hope of the future, and it turns out he's absolutely shit.
At the moment.
Is he the Ferrari development driver?
No, he has have brought him through.
So, is that the guy that looks like Sideshow Bob?
Yes.
Yes.
He's
Right.
the one with the afro.
Yeah,
Yeah, Neil Goldman.
yeah.
And he's just been absolutely terrible.
Has he?
Yeah. I think he's been doing GP3 and bits of Formula 3, and he's just been crap in both of them.
And quite crashy, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He does have a seat for Formula 2.
Well,
doesn't he,
surely
for
he ticks
next year,
all
I
the
think.
boxes for Haas then.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done a couple of F2 races as well towards the end of the season. And he's
Slow
just-
and crashy, you're in, lad.
What are your whinging skills like? Yeah, highlight of the year for me with Haas was Grosjean's helmet in the USA with the "I'm not whining" speech bubble on it.
Yeah.
No. Magnussen's "suck my balls, honey" comment.
Ooh, that's a good
yes,
one.
yes, actually, yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
That was after the US Grand Prix, wasn't it? I think.
I can't remember.
Suck my balls, honey.
It was to Hulkenberg. That's all I can
Or
remember.
was it the
but I can't-
Hungarian? No, it was the Hungarian Grand Prix because it was when Hulkenberg had a bit of an issue with somebody earlier on in the race, and then Magnussen decided he was going to cause the same issue for Hulkenberg. I think it was Grosjean and Hulkenberg.
Yes.
And then Magnussen switched it around and gave Hulkenberg the same treatment. When Hulkenberg complained, he was told to go and suck my balls, honey. To which this is, I did mention this on a podcast at the time. It wasn't very well known, but Nico Hulkenberg actually found Kevin Magnussen's race engineer in the airport and took a photo with him on Instagram and said, "I've checked with your race engineer. We don't think it's a good idea to suck your balls."
The ribs getting that. Wrong joke. Right, Toro Rosso, otherwise known as the driver parade.
Yeah, lots of. Well, let's just say they didn't finish the season with the driver lineup that they started it with. Far from it, actually.
Toro Rosso going through drivers? Surely not.
Yeah, which would be fine in the closed season, but they decided to do it all the way through towards the second half of the season. There were rumours that Sainz wanted out of his contract. That kind of unsettled the team a little bit. That apparently caused divisions in the garage between the mechanics, because half the mechanics thought that it was unfair that Sainz was getting preferential treatment over Kvyat.
Yeah.
Whereas the other half I'm guessing they were all Kvyat's engineers. And the other half of the garage, which I'm going to guess was Sainz's half, were saying, well, he's better. He needs preferential treatment.
Yeah. I'm glad Sainz slipped his lead when Helmut Marko took him off into that field with a shotgun.
And ran back to the Renault garage.
Yeah. Come on,
Good boy, Carlos. Well done. Danny Kvyat started the season poorly. In the middle part was poor, and towards the end was poor.
Fired.
Yeah.
I don't know, towards the end. He got 3 points finishes this season. In his first race, his fifth race, and what turned out to be his last race. And that was about it.
Yeah. Let's see if we can remember what they did. So Carlos Sainz.
And actually finished below Pascal Wehrlein in the Drivers' Championship.
Because he didn't do as many races as Pascal. I think they had the same amount of points.
They had the same amount of points, but on countback, Wehrlein got more 11th places.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
1. So, anyway.
Yeah, so let's see if we can remember what happened. So, Carlos Sainz and Danny Kvyat started out the season.
Yes.
And then Danny Kvyat made way for Pierre Gasly.
In Malaysia.
In Malaysia.
After he crashed in Singapore. He had the
Yes.
very solo crash into a wall.
Yes. So then it was like, oh, well, Gasly's going to come and race for us in Malaysia. It's like, oh, well, that's all right. That's fine. And then it was, well, we're gonna keep hold of Gasly actually because we quite like him. But then Sainz was off to Renault. So Sainz went to join Renault to
Yes.
replace Palmer,
Yes. Who was shit.
who was shit and had terrible luck.
Yeah.
And Toro Rosso were like, well, we're going to put Gasly and Kvyat in the car. And then Gasly was like, oh, I can't make that race. I've got to go to...
Japan.
I've got to stay in Japan after this race and try and win the Super Formula. Well, who are we going to get in for the next races then? Well, remember that kid we used to have who came through at the same time as Vettel and Ricciardo, and we thought he was shit, but actually maybe it's because he was up against Vettel and Ricciardo. Well, let's bring him back. And then they end up finishing the season with Gasly and Hartley, who neither of them actually scored any points for Toro Rosso.
No.
All of the points came, most of them were Carlos Sainz's, a good 90% of them were Sainz's, and Kvyat scored the other 5.
50, hang on, 48 points for Sainz, 5 points for Kvyat.
48 points?
Yeah.
I've got that wrong then, somehow. I've written the wrong amount of numbers.
No, you've written down Sainz's points, but that includes the points that he got for Renault.
Okay, got you.
I tell you what, in Hartley and Pierre Gasly, though, I do not believe there is a Red Bull driver in either of them. No, a big team driver.
Yeah, it's hard to tell at the moment, isn't it? I mean, really, just to get both drivers in and sort of...
Were they 3 testing sessions for 2018?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But what were they testing? Because they've got a different engine.
The drivers,
for next year.
just to put them, just to get their feet under the table, get them comfortable in the team, talking to their engineers and that, and
testing how far they can push Danny Kvyat before he has a full nervous breakdown.
Yeah, Danny Kvyat's sole purpose in Formula 1, as we know, is to make Max Verstappen win races.
Got a 100% record. Toro Rosso have got a lot to do next year. They've got the disadvantage of 2 drivers that haven't scored Formula 1 points and a Honda engine.
Have they just looked at what's going to happen in 2018 and gone, you know what, let's just
That's what I think.
Just write this season off.
Just fuck it. It doesn't matter. We might as well get 2 free drivers in. It's not costing us any money.
Don't put the money into this year. Don't put it into this year. Wait until Honda have decided their shit and get out of Formula 1.
I wouldn't mind. It's not even the fact that Toro Rosso have decided to do this. Red Bull have decided to do this to see if the Honda engine's any good to put in the fucking big car.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't know
which should only be for 2 years at the most until Aston Martin are ready.
Yeah.
I don't know if Sean's aware of this, but we spoke about this on the last pod, that the entry list, suspiciously, not Scuderia, Toro Rosso, Honda, as you would expect them to be.
Okay.
They are Red Bull, Toro Rosso, Honda.
Interesting.
And Red Bull's official entry is Aston Martin, Red Bull Racing.
Yeah.
So, possibilities of the Red Bull name maybe possibly disappearing from that main
I wonder
team.
if Honda didn't want them to be Scuderia.
What,
Possibly.
Italian Japanese team?
Yeah, and the fact that I know it's not, but just the word Scuderia in Formula 1 is instantly connected with Ferrari, isn't it?
And do you know what? I never thought of that.
Well, they did used to have the Ferrari engine, didn't they?
Yeah.
Once upon a time.
Yeah. STR
Yeah, because they're all
Ferrari.
STR Ferraris.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it could be that.
Like called Scuderia, just Italian for squad.
Is it?
Yeah.
As a tribute to Minardi, which is what they used to be. That's what they used to call themselves. That's what they called themselves. So just to appease the Minardi fans,
Yeah.
who wanted a connection with the Minardi name that had been in Formula 1 for years.
They did that.
So they called it Scuderia. They were originally going to be Squadra.
There's Minardi fans. Those 7 people must be made up with that.
My brother was a huge Minardi
No,
fan.
I know Ferrari had quite the following.
And Dan is as well. So the other 5 that we can't ask if you're listening to us. All to do next year, and it's going to be a dumpster fire.
It's uphill climb, I think, is the word for it. I mean, they already know it's an uphill climb.
Yeah.
But they're tying bricks onto the back of the car just to
I could be hey,
bricks on fire to make it more extreme.
let's not think here that there isn't a chance that McLaren have made a bad move.
So don't look for Toro Rosso at the start of the season.
Absolutely. But no,
Brendan Hartley, 2018 Formula 1 World Champion.
First driver to win WEC and Formula 1 in consecutive seasons.
I think it has been.
Oh, we're laughing now.
It has been talked about that Honda and Toro Rosso are going to have a much more close working relationship than Honda
it's
and
PR
McLaren.
bullshit, though,
It
isn't
probably is, but
I think Toro Rosso will be more amenable to Honda doing things their way rather than 3 weeks in and you're passing notes through solicitors like Ron was.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
let's not forget that when McLaren and Honda got back together, it was essentially like seeing two school kid couples going go on, you tell them. No, you tell them. You tell the story so much better than I do. Tell them about Senna. Tell them when we were together and we had Senna in the car.
Do you remember Prost? Yeah, he won championships for us as well. Do you
Yeah,
remember?
you loved him, didn't you?
You throw me completely.
Yeah, there's no romance, is there, with Toro Rosso Honda? Put it that way.
No,
not
the
at
McLaren
all.
Honda there was, and it's been completely destroyed.
If they're really lucky, there might be some dirty sex out of it, but there's no love.
Renault next. Another team with a lineup change.
Yeah, so far the only team we've covered who hasn't had a lineup change has been Haas. Of course, Jolyon Palmer started the season completely by default, 5th choice, as it emerged at one point in the year that he was actually 5th choice for that seat. And Hülkenberg did a lot better than Palmer throughout the season.
Yeah.
It's the only way you can really say it.
I mean, Palmer had a lot of bad luck.
Loads.
And his car had a lot of bad luck as well.
Because remember we
Because
would be
even
doing the
if-
live blogs and his transponder where he'd be like 11th and he'd drop down to 18th and we'd be like, Palmer's got a problem, and then all of a sudden he'd be suddenly he's 11th again.
But even when he wasn't driving the car in FP1, it'd break down.
It was like trying to keep track of a plane to
Yeah,
go through.
weirdly, who was driving the car that day? Was it not Sergei Sorokin?
would
It
have
was,
been
yes.
Sorokin.
Yes, because there were at least 2 FP1s that I can remember offhand,
Yeah.
where it only lasted 2 laps before the car was knackered, and Palmer lost time in FP2 because they were still fixing it. There was a random bursting into flames in Baku on the Saturday before qualifying.
Yeah.
But that wasn't just Palmer, that happened to some other drivers as well.
Yeah.
Like Max Verstappen and Danny Kvyat to name 2.
Not getting to the grid at Silverstone because the car just died on the hangar straight
Yeah.
on the formation lap.
Yep, doing all of 90 miles an hour.
Yeah. But when it worked, he just wasn't quick enough in it. You know, I'm not saying everything that happened to Joe Poe this year was bad luck.
No.
It was a combination of when he had good luck with the car where it was working, he couldn't put it in the right place.
There was
Well,
a
no, I
couple-
think the only time he really had good luck was in Singapore, and he put it 6th.
Yeah.
Which managed to give him a stay of execution for 2 races.
Yeah, I think the damage was done there, definitely. But I think the problem he had was he had so many practice problems and qualifying problems. Any confidence or any sort of forward momentum that he could have built in the season was just fucked. So it's a shame, but he had 2 years, or year and a half. Didn't do anything.
Finished in the points twice.
He was never going to be a world champion. He's not the first driver to come into Formula One and fall out.
And right from the word go, he was he wasn't wanted by that team.
No.
They wanted Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
And when Carlos Sainz wanted out of his contract, Renault and Red Bull did everything they could to make that happen, so that Sainz is essentially still a Red Bull driver, but on loan at Renault.
Yeah.
For 2 seasons, is it? I think.
As long as Helmut Marko says.
Yeah.
I think they actually own Sainz for life.
For life.
Yeah.
But when Verstappen or Ricciardo leaves that team, they're clearly not going to put Gasly or Hartley in the Red Bull. They're going to go for Sainz.
So that means Palmer will be coming back to Renault because there'll be nobody else available. And what?
No, there's lots of other drivers available.
I tell you what, Carlos Sainz could find himself in a Red Bull, not next year, but the year after.
2019 is the big year for Danny Ricciardo.
Mm-hmm.
There's no contract signed yet.
He'll be in a Ferrari.
Quite possible.
Could well be.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Renault, though, I mean, this is their first real season, wasn't it, as Renault? Because last season they were essentially Lotus with Renault paint on them.
And even then, it's a building year, isn't it?
This is a building year, and they've set out a plan that they want to score points and podiums in 2018, win races in 2019, and fight for the championship in 2020. That's bold.
Most improved team of the year.
Renault, I think that's probably fair to say.
I think the only reason I'd go against my own thought there was because wasn't Red Bull like fucking 30 seconds behind Mercedes and Ferrari the first couple of races?
Yeah, the first
They
2
were
races, I
well
think they were
off,
30
weren't they?
seconds and then 40 seconds off the
and then
pace.
essentially coming towards the end of the season where
But
they
you
could
don't forget who they're
challenge
powered
for
by,
pace. Yeah.
Tag Heuer.
No, Renault have come on a great deal as a team this season. Just bearing in mind 2 years ago, we were looking at possibly there not being a car from Enstone on the grid.
Yeah, because it looked like Genie Capital, who owned Lotus, were just going to fold the team at one point, and it was actually Renault as an engine supplier to other teams at that point, because Mercedes was supplying Lotus.
Yeah,
But Renault are doing what Williams should have done.
taking risks.
It took put a team of proper drivers together, and then at that point, if you've got two good drivers, it's then up to you as a team.
Well, you say that, but Williams finished ahead of Renault in the constructors.
Oh, yeah, it's because it's got a better car.
And for
Yeah.
most of the year,
Joe-
Renault had Palmer.
Yeah,
They finished the season with good drivers.
It's
but-
Haas syndrome. It's you can't expect to be in the top half of the championship if you've only got one driver that scores points.
yeah. Well, look at fucking comparing like Renault and Williams. They're going into next season with Carlos Sainz and Nico Hulkenberg. Williams, on the other hand,
Yeah, Lance Stroll and
TBC.
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Williams are next, 83 points, fifth in the constructors. After the most negative press release statement at the start of the season, where we will aim to get at least fourth. We should be higher than we are, and we don't want to drop any further down.
Yeah, if you remember at the time, I shot them down with that release because it was completely pointless.
Yeah.
It was almost like we're here to make the numbers up because we know we're not going to win, so we just want to finish behind the guys we're going to finish behind.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, what the hell are you? Why are you there?
And it's almost like, in my eyes, you have, because you've got an out of place McLaren and a rebuilding Renault. Williams were fifth because at very worst, they can build a fifth winning car. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's like their baseline.
Yeah, but this is Paddy Lowe's year.
Oh yeah,
Williams
this
sort
year
out what's
coming
going
is a
on.
big year for Williams as well.
Yeah,
But
2018 is a massive year for Williams.
I think the problem they're going to find though is they're going to have a McLaren ahead of them next year. If they're lucky, they'll end up where they are now, but because McLaren and maybe Renault knock them down as well, which I don't think Renault will be quite on that thing just yet, but McLaren certainly will. If they'll be lucky to finish in fifth, but fifth ahead of Force India, that's like the Williams target next year.
Yeah, they've got to look to beat Force India. I mean, and vice versa.
Yeah,
Force
but I
India
think
got-
that whole battle will just be nudged down one or two places depending on where McLaren and
instead of
Ferrari
being
are.
for fourth and fifth.
Maybe sixth and seventh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have seen this coming 2 years ago, where Force India were Williams' biggest rival.
You wouldn't have seen this coming 4 years ago where Williams was second in the championship behind Mercedes.
No,
When you think about what they had a decent driver lineup in Bottas and Massa.
Yeah.
They had arguably like the biggest surprise sponsor, of
Martini.
like big name sponsor.
Yeah, because
that
if
came
you
in.
remember that car
It's a
that
big
year, it
deal.
was just a dark blue Tesla livery, and it
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
well, what Williams going to look like
Yeah.
this year? And then there was talk of a classic sponsor,
Yeah.
classic motorsport sponsorship deal, and it's just like, well, who the hell's it
Yeah.
going to be? And then all of a sudden, it was quite surprising.
And
at
when
the
you,
time. Oh, it's
yeah, well,
Martini,
when
what
you
the hell?
think that Formula One teams are struggling to get sponsors,
Yeah.
yet they managed to seal the Martini deal where they had it fucking plastered over the side of the car, big title sponsor.
Yeah, we're Williams Martini Racing now.
They had a good year or two decent years by default because of how far ahead Mercedes were, and they seem to have squandered everything instead of taking that and building on what they had to try and push themselves back up towards the front of the grid and keep themselves there. I think they almost relied on what they were given, and then now you're just back. Like I remember saying that when it happened, didn't I? That what you'd see is Williams just fall back down the grid to mid-grid where they kind of deserve to be now.
98 levels of mediocrity.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It is. I mean, a season for Williams where they only get one podium.
And that was kind of by accident, because that was in Baku, where realistically, if you finished, there was a good chance you were on the podium.
I hope. I forgot his name now. Mercedes man.
Bottas.
No.
Paddy Lowe.
Paddy Lowe. I hope he does something good for Williams because if he doesn't, they are literally like the hand-me-down team. You know, whereas they've got a driver from someone that they didn't really want. You know, end up with fucking Kvyat off Red Bull. They've already got Smedley in, and that hasn't seemed to work. They had Massa.
Yeah.
You know, it's they see it's like last chance saloon for people in Formula One.
Guido van der Garde will be turning up there next season. Then.
Yeah, I hope Williams can kick on a little bit and maybe take the fight to the top 3.
Oh,
but,
I do,
you know,
but I
because
don't. I
Williams
just don't see it happening.
They're a prestigious name, but they need to get back to the days of Frank Williams and Patrick Hedges' ruthlessness.
Does it all feel a bit Tyrrell-y at the minute?
Yeah.
A little. Tyrrell
Yeah.
were successful, weren't they, for a time?
Yeah.
And then they vanished.
Well,
I think it was
Tyrrell kind of ended up being forced down the grid through politics and
then
Yeah,
became
but
Mercedes.
I think it would only take like a Porsche or someone to decide, or Audi, like, we're going to get involved in Formula One. We need to buy a team. That one looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, your Williams name is gone.
Yeah, or your Williams Audi or Williams Porsche or something.
Yeah.
And
Who
then
did Tyrrell become?
BAR.
BAR was it?
BAR.
Mercedes.
Yeah.
BAR,
BAR.
Honda, Braun,
Yeah.
Mercedes.
So
they're doing all right now, Tyrrell.
yeah. But no, it does. It just feels a bit. It feels a bit Tyrrell-y to me, Williams, and I think that's a bit worrying.
Yeah. Well, in that case, a team that's definitely on the up is Jordan. Sorry, Midland. Spike. Force India. Any advance on Force India?
Force
No.
One.
Yes.
Not no, that's been cancelled now.
Yeah, because again, with the entry list, as we discussed last week, that's their official entry for 2018, which we don't think they can change.
No, I think that is now set in stone.
I don't
Force
think it's set
India.
in stone. Is I'm sure they
Is
could
it
ask
not
for
set in stone? Do they not chip it into stone?
They possibly not.
They can only
Like Mount Rushmore?
No, but when Bernie
they can only
Eccleston.
add, no, we said this last week. They can only add sponsors. That's why when Spiker bought Midland, they were Spiker Midland.
Yeah, I know it's
for
a
3
thing, but
races.
I would imagine that it's one of those things that if you can put in for it, and if people agree, you can do it. And I don't think anyone would contest a name change.
I don't know. Ferrari probably would just to be dicks.
But just use their veto.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember that veto you're taking away from us? Everything's getting vetoed this year. It doesn't matter what's on the table. We're saying no. Extra 70 million for Ferrari. No, vetoing that.
Yeah.
Damn. But an absolutely stunning year for Force India.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Well, if you remember, they started off the season with a really plain silver livery.
Well, it was beige.
In pre-season testing.
Yeah, it looked quite overweight as well, didn't it? It looked a bit
Yeah.
chunky.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
It didn't look great.
Well,
at
apparently
all.
they did have weight problems with the car, which they did manage to shift by the 3rd or 4th race of the season.
Stop
And
fat
that-
shaming Force India.
No, but that's when they really started performing. They didn't do so well in the opening rounds of the season, but then they sort of kicked on a little bit from there and did really, really well. We were unsure about how Esteban Ocon would get on alongside Sergio Perez, and my God, did he prove that he can race
Yeah.
with Sergio Perez.
He's got to
Bit too
beat
much.
Perez this year, though, hasn't he?
He's got to, a little bit too much.
A little bit too
They
much.
did come together didn't they, a couple of times. Perez did finish ahead of Ocon on points, but only by 13 points.
Yeah, but I think this coming year he has to beat Ocon to keep his stock.
Yeah, it's that's an inter-team.
Sorry, no, Ocon has to beat Perez to keep his stock rising.
One possibly. It's going to be the inter-team battle to watch. I think. Forget your Hamilton,
know.
Bottas. Forget
Carlos
Ricciardo.
Sainz and Hulkenberg's a good one, because Carlos Sainz came in, was really good for his first race, and then Hulken seems to have took care of him in short order. If Hulkenberg takes care
Yeah,
of
but
him,
the difference is Hulkenberg and Sainz don't despise each other.
Give it time.
Yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
The thing is, Ricardo Verstappen could be quite good, although I think the one to watch is going to be Ocon and Perez. I honestly think at this moment in time that Ocon is the real deal. Like I think he's going to be the race winning, possibly championship. And I'm not saying like championship dominating, but he could steal a championship, much in the way like Raikkonen did when he won his title.
Ocon.
Yeah, could win enough races to just keep himself in contention.
You
and
know
then-
that guy in the Manor? He's gonna score points in every race, bar 2 next season.
Yeah.
Said that last year. You'd have thought we were
Exactly. Yeah. You would have thought we were crazy, and he had just 2 races where he didn't score points.
Yeah.
And one of those was where he got wiped out by Grosjean through
In
no
Brazil.
fault of his own, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
just his turn to have a Haas in
Yeah.
the side of him.
Yeah.
They
Like
draw lots before the start of the season.
reinforcing Lee's earlier comment that when you saw an accident, there was probably a Haas involved somewhere.
Or Kvyat on his own.
But
Yeah.
Ocon, of course, for this year has the added incentive of Bottas's 1-year deal at Mercedes.
Yeah, I
Which,
I
if-
think he's got to be favourite to take
yeah,
that
if
seat
Bottas
if
is a
Bottas
bit
doesn't
average
perform.
again,
Yeah.
he would be the obvious alternative.
Yeah, I would say so. Again, hugely impressed with Esteban Ocon. I mean, I'm impressed with Sergio Perez. I like Sergio Perez, but he's no longer the young guy on the grid. He's now
No.
one of the sort of middle-aged folk, if you will, on the grid. At what is he, 28, 29?
Just looking
I
at
think
So,
he's
that.
about 27.
is
I think
he?
he's a little bit younger, but not much.
But I don't think he's quite garnered the same sort of
28 in January.
Yeah,
reputation as like the Hulkenberg. You know, Hulkenberg's now that driver where if you give him the car, he might be able to win a world championship.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
I don't think Perez has managed to get himself that reputation.
no, we've discussed this before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Perez would be a wonderful number 2 at Ferrari.
Yeah, even then, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. He might actually be quite. He's not a bad Formula One driver, and he clearly deserves to be there. But I don't think he's quite good enough for.
I think Perez
top
will
seat.
win a race.
Yeah, but in the same way as
Stroll.
Kovalainen.
Yeah. Shenanigans would have
Yeah.
to at Force India, but I'm not saying Force India are going to build a race-winning car and fight for the championship next year.
Reckon they need 100 million extra, don't they?
Yeah. Hence why they were looking at the name change as well. But no, I mean, we laughed at Force India when they actually said on TV, "Well, we finished 5th," and that was like 2015. We finished 5th, and we've got to push on for 4th. And then at
just
the end of
realised.
2016, they said, "Well, we've got to hold on to 4th. Maybe push for 3rd might be a bit, a tough ask."
I've just realised how Force India can make their extra money. They can rat out about where Thingy's hiding.
Malia.
Yeah, there must be a load of people that they could sneakily say here's a whereabouts to get some extra cash.
Maybe, possibly, who knows? But yeah,
Who is gonna run the team next year? If Malia goes down.
Well, he's in the middle of some extradition hearings at the moment.
Otmar Safnoyer and Bob Fernley will
I was just
Yeah,
going to
they've
say
been fine
he
this
hasn't
year.
run the team for years.
Yeah, but who is going to be bankrolling it?
yeah.
But aren't they?
they'll be all
Aren't they
right.
separate?
They'll be okay.
His extradition stuff is all to do with Kingfisher. Was
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all to do with that.
Yeah.
But I think like Force India essentially make their own money.
Yeah.
Like it's a self. That's why
They've got a
they're
lot of
still
sponsors
there.
on that
Yeah.
car, haven't they?
Yeah.
And they changed colour because someone gave them money.
Yeah, an Austrian water company.
Someone give me money, I'd change colour.
To be fair as well, I've had a few female friends talk to me about Force India this year who have no interest in F1 aside from the fact that there's a pink car that all of a sudden they're looking at. So that might have worked out quite well for them.
They're sexist and
But yeah, suddenly
they're
they've got a new.
pigeonholing all women.
They've suddenly got a new audience to sell tat to.
And they were talking about grid girls before.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now- Oh, there's a pink car. But they also sponsor the water company also sponsors the Mercedes DTM team as well, and they are also known as the Pink Panthers. Have, pink Mercedes coloured cars. It works for cross series. Whether or not they'll remain pink for years to come, I don't know. It could be their thing. But I mean, even the drivers changed their helmet designs to all be pink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've never seen Sergio Perez's helmet in all the years he's been in Formula One. We've never seen it go pink, but we have now.
Lee is about to explode if he doesn't say something.
No. I think it's literally all being said. I just hope they're purple next year.
No, the purple helmets are a thing over here.
So yeah,
Tried to say make a motorbike that you used to.
oh yeah, they did. Yeah, that's why I got one.
Oh, many places we could go with that. Red Bull.
Red Bull,
Yeah.
odd one for Red Bull.
What can you say about them?
Well, they were so far clear of fourth placed Force India, but so far behind second place Ferrari.
In a race of their own, really. Weren't
Yeah, they were good enough to not fall into fourth, and they weren't good enough to fight for first or second.
Yeah.
a very non-event year for Red Bull. I mean, Danny Ricciardo had the run of bad luck to start the year off with, didn't he? And what did Max have? Something like 7 or 8 retirements in
Something
10
like
races
that,
or something
yeah.
like that. Something ridiculous, and they were all mechanical failures. I think one of them was a driver error, which was down to a mechanical failure. But
to the extent where he was actually saying, "Oh God, not again!"
Yeah.
when the car was dying under him.
yeah, in Belgium when he pulled over
Yeah.
at the side, he was on for a podium. He was up to second place, scared the shit out of Bottas in the opening corners of Canada, and was up into second place, and his car let go on him.
Canada was a real shame.
Yeah, Max Verstappen, if his car stays together,
Might have won that race.
I'm almost sure he could have. He would have finished second.
Yeah.
Definitely could have won it. Could have fought with Hamilton for it.
The only reason I think a win would have just been too much for him is because Hamilton is so good at Canada.
And I think Belgium, Verstappen was possibly on for, if his strategy worked out a bit better.
Yeah.
Was possibly
Historically not a bad race for Red Bull.
was on for fighting for a win as well, but
Yeah.
it didn't work out that way. So I don't know how to feel about Red Bull season. I kind of think they've done well by finishing third, given that they've had all those problems. But then
It would have been
think-
interesting to see what would have happened if they hadn't have had the suspension taken off them at the beginning of the season.
yeah, and also I'm on the other hand of what I just said there. I think that how much better could they have done if they didn't have all those problems? Would they have been up there with Ferrari and Mercedes? Well, we've had a 3-way fight. Because let's be honest, we loved the 2-way battle between Ferrari and Mercedes early doors.
There was a couple of races where we think there might have been a win or a podium taken off them, but I don't think they were consistent challenges over the course of the season. Realistically, Ferrari weren't even consistent challenges over the course of the season.
They were consistent enough that they were leading the championship going to Singapore.
I think they were Ferrari.
Yeah.
But I think even then they were. It was
They were slightly behind. It was Monza where Mercedes took the lead.
and
Yeah,
that's because they had an exceptional beginning of the year. From the minute the summer break was over, I didn't think for 1 second anybody but Hamilton was going to win that championship. I think Ferrari managed to be good enough to give the illusion of competition this year, and I don't think the competition was really there.
yeah. But you think Red Bull's problems were much
Suspension.
much in the same way as Mercedes, which was a complaint from Ferrari.
Yeah.
That Mercedes and Red Bull were running suspension that they believed to be illegal.
Like we said, I'm sure 36 seconds rings a bell in my head. That's where the first Red Bull was behind Mercedes in Australia.
I think you're right. Yeah, 36.
So-
and it's from like 44 in China, and then in like 50 something in Bahrain. It was like they're falling further and further behind.
So
28.
28 was it?
28.
Well, so what do we read from that then? If we say like a good Mercedes is being like a second quicker than a Red Bull most of the time, maybe second and a half. So what does that mean? That suspension cost them 35, 36 seconds?
It's not just
Oh, sorry, 26 seconds.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's not that the suspension cost them that. It's that they had to.
No, but that had been taken off them.
Yeah, because it has been affected the whole design of the car. I mean, that's
So-
why Mercedes were banking on that suspension as
So
well.
does that mean that
which is
would
why
have
they
been-
had a diva of a car earlier on in the season.
Yeah, but they see clearly Red Bull lent more towards that than Mercedes were doing because it didn't cost Mercedes the same amount of time. See, that's why I don't think there's any hope for the teams next year. I think Mercedes are going to romp away with it next year.
I think you could be right. I know we're sort of not really onto Mercedes yet, but even Toto Wolff has said that they're going to, rather than completely redesign the car,
Yeah.
because
Look
there
at
was
Hamilton in fucking Brazil.
Yeah,
He was fucking rapid when he didn't have to hold up.
exactly.
But let's move on to
Yeah.
Ferrari anyway, and then we'll get.
I was
to
going to say about
Mercedes.
the Mercedes. They're not going to design a completely new car. They're happy enough with the platform that W08 has given them with those new 2017 rules that aren't so new anymore.
Yeah.
That they can just build on that platform for 2018 and iron out the problems that they've had with it.
Yeah.
which is the first time we've seen a Formula One team do that since
McLaren?
98, 99, when they
That's
used
right.
the same car.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking like championship winning team.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're going back into the days where
Yeah, not Sauber.
you're going back to the days there where the new car didn't actually debut till the start of the European season. They used last year's car for the
Yeah.
first 3 flyaway races.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was the year that McLaren just didn't bother releasing the new car because it was crap. Was it the MP419?
Something like that. Well, I can't remember.
Yeah, it.
There was a Tyrrell car, wasn't there, that never got released? Was it the final Tyrrell car that was going to be amazing, and then all of a sudden there's something happened and that car never made the grid?
Force India is the last sort of semi-good car, wasn't it? That we can remember them releasing a dog at the beginning of the first season, and then a B-spec car, which actually turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2013ish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
2013, 2014.
That's when we accurately called Force India going bust and not
Yes.
making the end of the season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Points for us.
Yeah. Oh,
Yay.
we're great at predictions.
That was the 3 legs 4 wheels prediction when we hit the nail right on the underside of the head.
Yeah, nearly took your bloody thumb off.
Hit the nail right on your left knee.
Yeah.
So Ferrari, they were in the fight until the summer break.
I would, to counter what Lee said before, I would say Ferrari threw it away more than Mercedes sort of just romping away with it.
Yeah, I think Ferrari had a better car than they knew what to do with.
Yeah, I think in Singapore, if the start at Singapore hadn't happened, they could easily have controlled that race, and probably would have ended out the race with a 1-2 finish.
Probably, but then they'd have been battered over the rest of the season.
Yeah, but would they have been?
Yeah,
Mentally, they would have been up for the fight. Psychologically, they still would have been up for it.
maybe, but I think they'd have still.
Vettel would have still been up for it.
Vettel lost in Baku.
No, I wouldn't go back that far. I'd say Vettel lost the title. I would say Vettel lost the title in Japan when they had to retire the car in Japan.
The difference is Vettel might not have lost the championship in Baku, but he lost the mental game.
By doing what he did with Hamilton.
And that was it then. After that, that's where he started to spiral and go.
Yeah. Well, he won the Hungarian race, didn't he? Just before the summer break. And that was a big boost for Ferrari. And it looked like we were going to have a really close race.
Didn't Hamilton have problems in that race, though?
He had to get past Bottas, and then eventually when he did...
He gave it back. Yeah.
But the...
That was ridiculous. That was a stupid move. I mean, I know it didn't matter in the end, but could you imagine if they lost the World Championship by a couple of points?
Yeah, no, yeah, it would have been disastrous, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We'd all be talking about that right now. We talk about Red Bull being like so far ahead of Force India in third. Ferrari were like a golfing class ahead of Red Bull in second, but also well over 100 points behind Mercedes at the end of the season.
If you look at
there is a definite step there, and it's a big step. It's a big drop off from Mercedes to Ferrari to Red Bull.
Yeah.
There are steps in performance,
And it's not
big
like
steps, and then there's a cliff down to Force India.
Yeah, it's not like Williams had. Sorry, not Williams. Fuck Williams. No. It's not like Mercedes had 2 drivers that were on it every weekend either. You know, I think when you look at the driver lineups between Bottas and Hamilton and Kimi and Vettel, there's definite parallels that you can draw there where one of the drivers is doing what the car's capable of and the number 2 driver is sort of underperforming.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So for them to be that far away in points, it's pretty telling, isn't it?
It is really because I mean I think Kimi wasn't great this season.
No,
Wasn't anywhere close to what
Kimi
you'd
doesn't
expect from
deserve
him.
to keep his seat this year in that team.
Yeah, he's still the best person to replace him.
I don't think he is.
He keeps his seat because Vettel likes him.
Yeah,
because he
yeah,
doesn't
that's the thing.
challenge
Yeah,
Vettel.
last year when they signed him this year, he was the best person to replace him. This year, Nico Hülkenberg, Carlos Sainz, Esteban Ocon. You know, there's a host of drivers out there that would do a better job than Kimi Räikkönen. Maybe not Perez.
I don't know. Kimi Raikkonen 10 years ago was great number one driver. Massa was a good number two, as he was throughout most of his career. Kimi, as he's sort of gotten older, has sort of almost taken, choose like a football analogy here. He's gone back into the midfield, like in football or soccer. For
Do you think he's
American
Irvine it and picking up checks?
a little bit? He's instead of being up top scoring goals all the time, he's dropped back a little bit into the midfield, where he's more comfortable now because he can't run quite as fast.
Yeah.
And you know,
John Barnes.
I was just about to say
John
Wayne
Barnes.
Rooney.
John Barnes or Wayne Rooney, yeah, or Teddy Sheringham back in the day.
Yeah.
These people who got older and just dropped back a little bit because it was more comfortable for them.
Yeah.
I think Kimi's a bit more comfortable being a number two driver. He knows he's probably not going to win another world championship now unless it's huge luck. And Vettel drops off, does a 2014 Red Bull, and for some reason the car doesn't work for him,
and the
and
car's
works for
really
Kimi.
good for Kimi.
Yeah, and that car is 8 seconds faster than the Mercedes. That's the only way he knows that, and he's quite comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I think he's all right being a number two driver, not challenging Sebastian Vettel, quite comfortable with the fact that Vettel's number one, not trying to fight to be number one in the team. Although, let's be honest, he was pretty unhappy in Monaco when he realised Ferrari diddled him out of a win.
Ferrari fucked him.
I just think I think these days Kimi, second era Ferrari Kimi, is much happier just sitting back, being a number two and passing on the experience. Because don't forget, he's been Formula One bar those 3 years that he missed out on. He's been in Formula One since 2001.
Yeah.
So he's got a wealth of experience, and he's able to feed that back to the team. And if him and Vettel together can pool their resources together, that's really good for Ferrari. Better than having Charles Leclerc straight in, or Leclerc does 1 year at Sauber and then hops into the seat. Well, what do you think? Imagine that. Imagine you're Raikkonen's race engineer, and after 2018, it's Charles Leclerc in that car because Raikkonen.
Well, Ferrari aren't in the business of building drivers.
No. But I'm just saying.
Ferrari take champions. They don't take people to build.
I'm just saying, it's Vettel. And,
Yeah, because when they build a driver, that usually turns out to be Luca Badoa, and nobody wants that.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Because Salo was all right until he went to Ferrari.
Yeah.
He was rubbish at helping Eddie Irvine win the championship.
So were Ferrari.
Yeah.
But he only got the seat because Badoa was crap. See?
Yeah, exactly.
I've said it many times. I saw Luca Badoa come out of a corner the wrong
Upside
way
down?
round. No, backwards.
Yeah.
No, just fucking exceptional.
I do remember Luca Badoa landing his Formula One car, Minardi I think he was driving at the time, on his roof, I think at 95 or 96 at the Italian Grand Prix. Managed to flip a car at the Ascari Bends. Landed back on its wheels, but even still, he didn't drive off.
Now, if it was the old Ascari banking, you could understand that happening.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
He definitely wouldn't have drove off then. He wouldn't have walked off.
We've all seen Grand Prix the movie.
He might have flew away.
Yeah. But no, the point I was making, imagine if you're Raikkonen's engineer and he's giving you all this feedback you understand, you've worked with him for so long, he's been in the sport for God knows how long.
I think he might have the hardest job in Formula One, actually.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden Raikkonen's gone and somebody else comes in who is, alright, maybe not Charles Leclerc after like a year in Formula One.
Yeah.
Somebody less experienced than Raikkonen, and all of a sudden the feedback you're getting doesn't tally up with what you're reading on the screen.
Yeah, but I mean that's just going to happen, isn't it? Engineers work with different drivers.
Yeah, but disharmony. What Ferrari have got at the moment and what they've got to hold on to is the harmony between those two drivers.
I can't help but think though that something like, do you not think someone needs to keep Vettel honest? He needs someone a bit quicker.
A bit like Danny Ricciardo.
Oh, I was going to say a bit more like Mark Webber, actually. It's Mark Webber was quick enough to hassle Sebastian, but not quite quick enough to beat him all the time.
And then when Danny Ricciardo was quick enough to beat him, he moved on.
I think that was always going to happen. In fact, I was reading a thing or listening to a thing the other day where it was almost hinted that he wanted to leave Red Bull and essentially sacrificed a season to help him get out of his deal, was one of the theories behind the bad year with Red Bull.
Well, he did leave a year early, didn't he?
Yeah, but no, like, even as like he was purposefully underperforming
So he
to get out
blew
of his
up
contract.
that season, so he didn't have to blow up the next season.
Yeah,
Because then he could just walk into the seat with Ferrari.
yeah.
Get the tinfoil out.
It does make a bit of sense, doesn't it?
It actually does. I hate it when you say that, when you mention the word theory.
And let's face it, Sebastian's a clever man. You know, like when you speak to him, he's an involved man within the team,
Yeah.
and maybe he could see the writing on the wall of where Red Bull was going.
Yeah.
You know, because that we all
Well,
wondered.
do you remember that team radio message
What's that?
when he won his 4th World Championship? We have to remember these days because they won't last forever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the following season,
They
It
weren't
stopped.
there.
Yeah.
they weren't there. So, onto the dominant team of the last 4 years, Mercedes.
Less dominant this year, though. You feel than during the Hamilton-Rosberg era. There were less 1-2 finishes.
But I think that's more because of Bottas and less because of Mercedes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
See, this is why I think Ferrari's challenge was like an illusion, because if it wasn't for the fact that one of their cars 90% of the time was beatable, then that gulf in points would have been even bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't get a 1-2 until Canada.
Well, we know the Mercedes has bother following, and because Bottas wasn't quite on the pace, he had to follow more than a Mercedes has had to recently.
And that's really what did for him. Bottas also came into that car at very short notice.
Yeah,
There was no...
that's fair enough.
He didn't have the off-season to prepare.
No. And didn't have... the team didn't have the previous season to look at the driving styles of the two guys that were going to be in the car and make it the best for both of them. Even though it would have been slightly favouring Hamilton, you've got to assume. Or maybe the car was designed to slightly favour Rosberg because he was going to be going into it as world champion.
Yeah, I wonder how much that's possible these days to build a car around somebody. You know, with the lack of testing and stuff like that. I think it might be more a case of teams just build the best, fastest car they can build, and it's given to the drivers.
Yeah, that's what setup's for, isn't it? You tweak it to your own style.
I think the days of Ferrari building a car around a driver sort of thing are gone because of the lack of testing. You can't just throw it out on a track every time you've done something.
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the season, isn't it, for Valtteri Bottas? He's had that year under his belt. He said early on in the season, before the season even started, he said, getting to grips with everything that's different at Mercedes has been a lot more difficult than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And, admittedly, his first photo shoot in a Mercedes shirt didn't look very comfortable.
No.
It looked a bit odd seeing Valtteri Bottas in a Mercedes shirt, and I think he felt a bit odd in a Mercedes shirt.
Well, when the first photos leaked out on actually the morning they made the announcement, everybody was convinced they were Photoshop because it
didn't look real.
It didn't look real, and then it turned out the leaked photos were the real ones.
Yeah.
And they still didn't look real.
Even when they did the car launch as well, they did it at Silverstone, didn't they? And they had both of the drivers walking towards it. He looked quite awkward still at that point.
Yeah.
And during the launch video, they were filming it in 360 degrees. And Jenny Gow had some weird 360 camera contraption on her. And when they were talking to Bottas and Toto over the car, Bottas did look uncomfortable. And I just thought, what else is going on in the garage? Panned round and Lewis is there on his phone, not giving a toss. I think I got a screen grab of it somewhere.
Right. Yeah, it would make sense. But I mean, apparently Bottas and Hamilton get on very well, and I can't really see anybody ever really thinking Valtteri Bottas, what a twat. because he
seems alright. Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? He just gets on with things. You know,
Yeah, they
he's-
were playing games, weren't they, at one of the Grand Prix where there was
The rain delay.
I can't
The
remember
rain
where it
the rain
was.
delay, and
it was qualifying, wasn't it? Qualifying rain
Was
delay.
it Monza?
I think they were playing
Yeah.
Forza. I think. Weren't
Yeah,
They?
something
No,
like
no, they're on a PlayStation.
Oh, was
Playing,
it?
trials.
No, it was Trials Fusion because as soon as they'd finished, I went on and looked at their times. Because it's a game that I've got. That's the one where you're doing a motorbike trials course and you can be a cat riding a unicorn.
Right.
Of course.
Sounds lovely.
Sounds right up Valtteri Bottas's street.
Just,
That.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine he's into like whimsical, fictional creatures.
Yeah.
He's from Finland. They're big into World of Warcraft up there.
And trolls.
Yeah.
Well, that's Norway, isn't it? Sorry.
No, it's mainly all of Scandinavia. Talking of which, is the Swedish goat burnt down yet?
I don't believe the Swedish goat has burnt down yet, but I can look into it.
I remember this,
This was-
from last
yeah,
year.
this was
they
the-
build,
As of
they build it every year.
yesterday,
Last year it lasted half a day.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
it was. It was
Someone
during
fire an arrow
its-
at it.
That was a different year. That was somebody who was dressed as a gingerbread man fired an arrow at it a few years ago.
Last year, someone was
Wow.
arrested near it. They were drunk and they had a can of petrol with them.
Oh.
So the
They,
goat,
they weren't going to do
the
good
goat
things,
is still
were
there. The
It
goat
is still there.
We are
absolutely
watching live
fine.
footage of a goat in the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
A straw goat. I just want to
Yeah.
say no goats.
Long-time listeners will understand this.
No goats were harmed in the making of this goat.
they? No, long-time listeners will understand what we're talking about. They won't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
That is pretty true. So yeah, Mercedes not as dominant this season, but still pretty dominant. I'm going to be interested to see what this pairing can do next year because it's a big year for Bottas.
Yeah.
He has to get second in every race that Hamilton wins, and he's got to win every race that Hamilton can't.
And I've got to give props to Mercedes this year for really turning it round from, not truly understanding what their car was doing at the beginning of the year because of that suspension change. And struggling for pace, struggling to look after their tyres. So all of a sudden, I think it was just after Monaco, they went, got it, understand it now. The data, we made the correlation. We know what we've got to do, and they did, and they did it, and they, second half of the season, they were the dominant team.
Yeah.
All right, you can argue Ferrari probably threw it away through reliability and silly little errors.
But that's the thing. I think Ferrari weren't doing well. Mercedes was just underperforming while
Yeah,
they
but-
were sorting their problems out. And don't
And
get me
even
wrong.
when Ferrari weren't doing well, Mercedes were there to pick
Yeah.
up the points that
I-
Ferrari lost, and it wasn't always the case the other way around.
Yeah.
Oh, you said Ferrari lost it through reliability, but surely having good reliability is part of the overall package.
Yeah, of
Don't
course.
forget, there was only one retirement for Mercedes all season.
And let's think as well. Now we've got less engines, more problems. So
It's 3, isn't it? 3 power units this
Yeah.
season, and that's only going to play into Mercedes' hands
Yeah, yeah.
again. They were the only team I think who didn't do any engine penalties. I think Ferrari got very
Lewis technically did, but he was already starting from the back.
yeah.
So they gave him a new engine because
just to do
Because
it.
they could.
Just be-
Didn't
because-
have to. Yeah.
why the hell not? And that was the engine that he had for the last 2 races, and it let him turn the wick up.
Mm-hmm. And look how fucking quick he was when they did it.
Exactly.
It's ominous.
So too early to make predictions for next season. I
No,
think.
it's not. Lewis Hamilton's going to win the World Championship. Probably 4 races before the end.
That'll be Japan.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
Japan or USA.
Oh no, do USA? He likes USA. He's done it. He's
Yeah,
wrapped it up
he's
there
into
before.
that, isn't he?
They have the best fans. Oh, hang on.
As does Britain and Japan
And Abu Dhabi.
Abu
Yeah.
Dhabi.
And Belgium and Singapore and Canada and Spain and China.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Although the British fans aren't the best in the world anymore because they didn't vote him Sports Personality of the Year this
Well,
year.
is it done now?
It was done.
Yeah.
It was last night. It was Mo Farah.
Ah.
And
Hamilton finished
He
6th
was 6th.
yeah,
out of
9.
12.
Was it 12?
12. Yeah.
Lots.
But he finished behind some slightly odd ones. He finished behind Adam Peaty, which I found
And Johnny
quite
Peacock.
surprising. And Johnny Peacock.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Ray from Off the Superbikes.
Yeah.
who lives just down the road from
Who
us.
lives in the
Yes.
Isle of Man.
Cray.
Doesn't just register his plane here.
Totes cray.
I
You heard
don't
me
think
right.
Jonathan Ray has a plane.
Cray Ray.
Chris, get the guitar.
That time already.
It is that time already.
So we'll be talking about the teams in a reverse order again when we do a season preview.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time until we do that again.
It's less than 100 days until lights out in Australia.
There'll be masses of speculation between now.
What, is there like a planned power cut for the whole country or something?
Maybe.
It's one of those hippie things where you turn your lights off for an hour, save the world.
A night watch.
Earth Hour or whatever the fuck
Unlike
it's
the
called.
power cuts in New Zealand where it's just one guy turning the light switch off. The house goes dark.
that guy with electricity.
Total shunt. Everybody, it's time for total shunt.
That last note was...
Yeah, there was a chord in there somewhere.
Right, I'll pick it up on the way back.
You can't find it, grind it.
This one is brought to us by Nick Johnston.
Hello, Nick
Hi, Nick.
Johnston.
Yeah.
Thank you for sending in your total shunt. We look forward to
I think this might be a
the
first,
challenge.
first time for him.
long time listener, first time shunter.
I think so, yeah. And he knows the rules.
Good. Good. We like a good total
So we
shunt.
started with an I was born.
I was born
Yes!
in 1983.
So it'd be
34.
Yeah, a year older than I.
A year younger than I.
No comment.
You might have known his great grandpappy.
Oh, sorry, I thought you got stuck for a second.
I was about to start dropping a beat when you were doing that as well.
I started karting in 1993.
At 10 years old, that's quite late.
Yeah, it's normally with go-karts, they'll have you as soon as you're warm.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Sounds like me. No, not like that. Whoa. Just meant the warm bit. I'm cold.
Okay.
And in 2003, I raced British Formula 3. However, I had to return home after being diagnosed with something.
Excellent.
So being diagnosed with something to aged 20.
So it could be anything from like crabs.
20's quite late to be doing Formula 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he had to get sent home because he was diagnosed with a migraine.
It was a medical thing.
Spell it out
Can you
for
look
us.
it up and tell us what kind of
I know
condition
the
it
last word is colitis.
Colitis.
Ulcerative colitis?
Ulcerative colitis.
Motherfucker.
Right, okay.
Dodgy stomach.
Yeah. Don't. If you look, I'm dyslexic. Give me stuff that's spelled phonetically, please.
Oh,
Nick, this is very good. You're giving the dyslexic man on the podcast.
you
Difficult words.
You really should have put a bad cold.
Diagnosed with the sniffles. Oh fuck! Where am I?
Diagnosed with an allergy to
Uh,
wheat.
Colitis.
You've just had ulcerative colitis.
I have a championship in both European and German Formula Renault 2000.
That's the one below V8 3.5.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, we've got to give a guess now, haven't we? After this one.
I think you sneaked one actually. You should have given me
Oh,
one
did we?
then.
Oh, sorry.
We got
No, it's all right.
distracted by
We
colitis.
got confused by my own stupidity.
Oh, I do apologise.
We do all the time.
So 34. Dodgy tummy.
Dickie told me.
European titles.
Oliver Turvey's not 34 yet, is
Not
he?
quite, no.
No.
Is he not?
Is Gary Paffett 34?
I think he's older.
I would have said he was a little bit older.
Schrodinger's driver.
Open the car, he might be in it. How old's Davide Valsecchi?
No, he's quite young.
He's not. He retired at aged. Wasn't he 27 when he retired or something ridiculous like that? I think he's only about 30
yeah,
now.
I think he's about
Annoying cunt.
that. I won't look it up. I don't want to be Googling. I don't want to be accused
No,
of cheating.
you can't.
No.
Can't
I know it's
Google
not the
during Total
answer, so I
Shunt.
was kind of interested to know, but I can.
Should we go with? Should we go with Gary Paffett for now?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
First guess: are you Gary Paffett?
My first Formula One event was the Canadian Grand Prix in 2005.
Right. Trying to think back. Bloody hell.
Tiago Montero.
No, he was driving from the start of the season.
Yeah.
Just realised he sounds like a baddie or a goodie from Thundercats.
Tiago Montero. Yeah.
He could easily be a Thundercat.
He's turned up in World Touring cars.
Yeah.
Although he's not driving because he got concussed.
Oh yes, he's missed like half a season.
Missed
hasn't
half
he,
the
with
season. He was
concussion?
leading the championship.
Oh.
Crashed, got a concussion, and he's not been cleared fit to drive, and lost the title as a driver, but still won it as a team owner.
Oh, fair
So
enough.
he's doing better in World Touring cars than he did for Jordan. But I don't think it's him.
No. Another clue, please, Lee?
My best finish in Formula 1 was 9th.
2005 was the days of 8 points finishing places. So it's someone better than Gutierrez, but just as unlucky.
Doesn't mean that the 9th was in 2005.
As I mixed the questions up, I would like another guess, please.
Stand-ins from around about 2005.
It wouldn't be
Pedro de la Rosa is too old. He's like
older, yeah.
in his 40s,
What
into his
about
40s
Liuzzi?
now.
When did he turn up?
frequently and then kept disappearing.
Vitantonio Liuzzi might be a good guess, you
He'd
know.
be about the right age, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And got broken by Red
Because
Bull.
he was
Yeah, well,
Forced, wasn't he? And he was Toro Rosso,
Yeah.
Red Bull, and then
Toro Rosso again.
Toro Rosso.
I think he was the first one to go from Red Bull back down to Toro Rosso.
So we go with Vitantonio Liuzzi, seeing we don't have
think-
much.
I think
of
that's
a-
as- that's as close as we are at the moment.
Sean.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have competed in the Indianapolis 500.
Probably not Vitantonio
no,
Liuzzi
not to the
then.
best of my knowledge.
Was
I
Takuma
was
Sato
going to say, who
stand-in?
won it this year? It was Sato,
Sato?
wasn't it?
Was
yeah.
he a stand-in for anyone? For BAR? Or
He
Honda
would have
at the
been.
time?
He would have come into
he had the Honda drive, and then then basically Super
hang on.
Aguri was formed just to give him a drive. When
his best finish was not 9th.
no,
He finished 3rd.
he has had a podium.
Yeah, and I
No,
nearly
the only
died when he
Japanese,
finished
the
3rd.
only Japanese driver that's had a podium, I think, is Kobayashi. He may have had a 4th
May have had a 4th then. He was running. I remember running 3rd at one race, and
Did
then
Kobayashi have a podium?
at
Yeah,
Japan. They named a stand after him.
Yeah, that was when everyone was saying how good at overtaking he was, and he wasn't good at overtaking.
Everyone
he just
was
kept
scared of him.
he kept crashing into people.
People just got out of his way.
Yeah.
Indy 500.
I have raced NASCAR.
Scott Speed.
No, he was there from the start of the season.
Was he?
Yeah, he just didn't make it to the end.
Man with the wrong surname.
I think we're definitely on the right lines with somebody that's been put through the Red Bull meat grinder.
Interesting.
Wales are not British. Well, Sebastian Bourdais.
Robert Dornbos.
Oh.
Robert Doorknobs.
Yeah, because he kept turning up, getting drives, losing drives.
Turning off.
Well, he's now, and I don't ever remember him driving for Red Bull, but he's now a Red Bull driver. But obviously not Formula 1 Red Bull driver, but he does display drives for Red Bull.
He is one of those names that just seems to pop up every now and then.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Let's stick with that for now. Robert Doorknobs.
Right.
In my off time, I operate and
What?
He's a surgeon.
Jonathan Palmer.
I operate and own an RC car facility.
An RC car.
I'm guessing you mean RC as in remote
Radio
control,
control.
not an RC car facility like Uber.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it's RC.
Actually, if it was RC cars, it wouldn't be Uber; it'd be Hunter.
I've got to change a couple of these questions. That's when we get a little bit confused because some of them I might as well just turn around and say, "And my name is."
So
My name is an anagram of Dobert Rawknobs.
So somebody who owns a small track.
Someone who's a bit of a tinkerer.
As a stomach problem. but was all right at racing enough to get to Formula One.
That rules twig out.
Next question.
Yes, please.
This is number 10.
Oh, was it already? Wow.
I have raced in the Global Rallycross. There is some extra stats there, but collecting 15 wins and 3 championships. I didn't think that would help.
I'm not an expert on the global rallycross championships.
No, I'm
Got to
not
admit, no.
I wonder how many stops you got to do that. If you're literally rallycrossing around the globe.
Tell you what, the wet stages would be a fucking issue, wouldn't they?
Fucking motor racing version of a triathlon.
They used to do a rally from London to Sydney.
Yeah, but what you do is you rally down to the beach, then you jump in a powerboat, then you drive the powerboat somewhere else, jump on a motorbike, and then street race to the finish.
Or instead of the powerboat.
We'd all watch that, wouldn't we?
Yeah, Red Bull are in for that.
Watch it.
Yeah, Red Bull are well in for that, by the way.
Honda as well,
James
they've got
Bond's
the
Lotus
powerboats,
from The Spy Who Loved Me, the underwater one.
Yeah, but
I've seen that in real life.
You can buy me Grand Theft Auto now.
Haven't you?
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that actual car. They found it in a skip.
What?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, they found that car in a skip. I'm like,
Wow.
I'm like, well, why has it got all shit all over the windows? Like, hang on a second. Is this the James Bond car? And it was.
Jesus.
Blimey. Have we got anything better than Robert Doorknobs?
Not at the moment. Have we got?
No.
Spaffer clue.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was ran through the Toro Rosso meat grinder.
Well, we kind of knew that already.
You're gonna fucking hate me.
I don't think he...
Sebastian Bourdais is the only one I can think of, but I don't know if he came in.
I didn't think Bourdais
Wait.
came in until a bit later.
Bourdais and Buemi.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to rush you.
I think Bourdais
I'm
was
tired.
Vettel's teammate.
I think
When Vettel...
maybe. I thought Buemi was teammates with Vettel.
No,
Oh,
I think
can't remember.
Buemi replaced Vettel when Vettel replaced Coulthard.
Christian Clean?
Oh.
That's a good shout. Just go with it.
Are you Christian Clean?
No, I'm not.
Who are you?
I'm Scott Speed.
Ah.
Oh.
And I think what's fucked yous
I
is
said Scott Speed.
yeah. What's fucked
We
yous-
said every Toro Rosso driver that there's ever been.
I said my first Formula One event was the Canadian Grand Prix. I didn't say I raced in it or qualified. It must have just been a
He was
test.
physically there.
Because the way he's worded it is, my first Formula One event I participated in was the 2005 Canadian Grand Prix. So I bet he had an FP1.
That was a good one.
Thanks for that, Nick. You did
Yeah.
indeed stump us.
Right. Quick Formula Lee update.
The world is broken. Move
The
on.
Yeah. I don't quite know how to describe what's going
We
on
need
with...
we need to go and check the times out now just to see if we can piss on his chips.
I checked them just before I set off.
There's been
And,
hours.
There's been a couple sent through on email while we've been recording, and I've been updating the timesheets. And just a reminder that it's Canada in the wet in the '98 McLaren MP413. We've had 25 entries in so far, and I don't know how to say this. Ed Forsyth is leading. Ed Esteban, 11th place outside the points. Forsyth is the fastest driver at the moment.
Ed Forsyth is faster than you.
Yes. I don't know how that's possible, but it is.
Drug test.
The World Anti-Doping Agency is not going to be interested in Formula Lee.
So you have until the 27th to get the times in, which
Extra time
is the
because
Wednesday.
of Christmas.
Yeah, the Wednesday. So a couple of extra days for Christmas, and we will work something out for what the next race is going to be, possibly after the New Year break.
Yeah.
Might give you a mid-winter season break until the next pod.
Yeah. Well, the next pod will be getting recorded on the 30th.
Yes.
So, all that remains is for us to wish you all an incredible Christmas, or
Absolutely.
whatever festival you're celebrating, Saturnalia or Winterval or God knows what else.
Yeah, and if you don't celebrate
Whatever.
Christmas, just enjoy, the festivities, because I'm sure somebody around you somewhere will be celebrating it.
Have a good Christmas. Don't have a good Christmas. It won't affect my life.
Have a great Christmas. We love you all. I just want to say thank you very much for sticking with us through 2017.
Yeah,
We
thank
have
you.
much planned for 2018.
Yeah, thanks to all our listeners who we've never actually said this on the podcast before, but you have made us number one at times in the US and the UK iTunes charts for Formula One shows,
Absolutely.
and that is just incredible. So, from all of us,
Keep doing that. Even if you don't want to listen to us anymore, just keep downloading it. We don't need you to listen. We
But
just
it's
need-
nice.
it'd
It's
be
nice.
nice. It'd be nice.
Yeah, but it's not imperative.
To be fair, this is coming like right at the end.
I-
of the
I
podcast. You're
have
telling the
podcasts.
misinformation.
I have podcasts that I still have on my app that I don't have time to listen to anymore, but I just leave them on auto download because I quite like the people that are doing it. And obviously now doing podcasts and knowing a little bit about it, it's just my little way of helping. So help.
And the Altruism Award for 2017
And
goes to...
also, do you know
I'm
what?
literally a man of the people.
Do you know what? To counteract what Lee just said, if you've got a friend who quite likes Formula One and they don't listen to us, send them a link as a Christmas present. It's the cheapest present you'll ever send anyone.
Maybe get them a real present as well if
No.
you're a good friend.
Another call for reviews as well.
Not because Lee is the git that keeps on giving.
Nah.
Yeah, go give us a review.
Yes, if you get a chance, give us a review on iTunes. We've got quite a lot of reviews on there, but there's always room for more.
Yeah, of course. It puts us higher up the list.
It does. If you want to get in touch, you can email us on 3legs4wheels@gmail.com, or you can get us on Twitter at 3legs4wheels, or
At Flood21.
At Sean Cowper.
At A Total Shunt.
at Pablo100, and for Dan, it's at Danbert. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/3legs4wheels. We're there on Instagram as well. We've got the YouTube channel, which
Yeah.
there'll be more stuff going up
we'll
on
be
there
putting more
soon.
up on there, yeah. But
Actually, to be fair, if you can't find a Facebook page, there's a chance that you can't find your way out of the room you're in.
that is a very fair
and,
point,
and if you
actually.
agree or if you disagree with us, pop over our Facebook page. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know why you're wrong.
I'd just like to thank everyone for making the comments on the Facebook page over the last couple of days. Did notice there was 3 people from Holland having an argument in Dutch, and Facebook Auto Translate made some very interesting translations
Yeah.
out of there. Apparently, Jos Verstappen likes fisting other drivers, according to that. I don't think that's what the original
I think
posters
it's probably
meant.
punching with
Yeah.
his fists. yeah.
But by God, Facebook, watch your translation software. It could get you very sued.
It could, yes, absolutely. But yeah, so in which case, hello, all our Dutch listeners.
We are.
I have to be very careful how I said that.
Yeah, your Dutchies is very good there.
We'll be back in about a week and a half's time. As I said, we're going to be recording the next show on the 30th.
Yeah.
And back to regular Monday night recordings in the new year. But obviously things are a little bit disrupted. So from all of us here, we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.